What's up, my ninjas? I'm Strident, and I am back. This is our, I don't know, like our return after a long-ass time being away. But I guess this is an off our brains, but it's also a review. it's going to be a roasting of Transformers: The Last Night. So if you're a Transformers
we're gonna burn that motherfucker down.
Yeah, if you're a fan of these Bayformers films, you might want to run for the fucking hills, because we're not going to be nice at all. If you get offended at hearing people think about the shit that they just watched, you might want to leave. Because if you spout some bullshit in the comments, the ban button is going to get fucking stroked. I'm going to be stroking that ban button for real. So I'm giving you guys the warning. If you get triggered or some other stupid tactic that, or issue that people have these days, you might not want to sit in on this one. Because if you've watched any of the previous reviews, me and Agent O have watched a couple of the others. I think we left out like 2 of them. Wait, there's 4 movies, right? Or is there 5? 5. So I think we've done at least 2 or 3 of the 5. But we wanted to do a drink and watch. I kind of did that for mine, but I don't know. Did you guys?
Drank alone.
Yeah, I did. Because initially I wanted to do it together, but it was hard to get everybody together. So we're gonna get in on this last night stuff. You know what? I always do this where we wait till after all the hype is done, and then I jump in and give my perspective. And now I have help with the perspective as well. So I am, as usual, I'm with Agent O.
What's up?
And with Clarion Prime.
What's going on?
So we all have differing levels of Transformer knowledge. I think Agent O is the biggest of the 3 of us into Transformers, but all of us have read enough that we know that there's at least 20 to 50 other stories that they could have used for 5 movies. They could have chosen 5 different stories from that pantheon of stories to make better films that would have had a lasting effect other than, goddamn, these fucking movies are horrible. So, yeah, I don't know. What'd you guys think? We'll just jump in. What'd you guys think? How did you feel? As fans of Transformers, how did you feel about this?
Oh, I didn't watch it. This was just like an April Fool's joke I played on you guys.
Yeah, whatever. Whatever. You watch that shit. you better have watched that shit.
Gotcha, man.
I know, right?
Gotcha.
Surprise, motherfucker. What do you guys think, though?
I mean, it's the 5th time that they've spat in the face of, I guess, Transformer fans in general. Like, I don't know how you can enjoy the toys and enjoy the cartoon, enjoy the comics, both, back in the day with Marvel and even the Dreamwave stuff and all the way into the IDW stuff, and then watch these movies and be like, oh yeah, this is good too. Like, there's no way. I can't even, like your brain, my brain will crash because the logic, I don't know how you can justify that. These are just awful movies, and this is like no different.
I agree.
It's shit. It's shit. Like, I was mad. Like, I know when you guys were saying how you were mad at the end of watching the movie, like, almost from the beginning, I was already mad. And then I just ate mad throughout even at the very end with their little, like, reveal, like, oh, the Pretenders are back or whatever. Because they disappeared after that, what was it, the second movie when that chick showed up with Spike's dorm and tried to kill him with her tongue?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you mean the thing that should have, like, literally let them take over the planet, yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
But they couldn't, to be fair. G.I. Joe was doing it or had done it. No, wait. Was first G.I. Joe in relation to time of the second Transformers? I'm trying to think of when it came out. But basically they did that in the first G.I. Joe movie, so.
What are you talking about? They did what? Pretenders?
They had Zartan imitate the president, so they really weren't going to do the same exact thing with a pretender being, like, in a position of power.
Oh, I get what you're saying. With the president or something. Yeah, I got
But
you.
they should have.
They should have.
Yeah.
And, what my biggest thing is this. How does anybody watch these movies and not say Michael Bay should be directing G.I. Joe films and not Transformers?
He said he doesn't want to, I thought.
Which is weird because he loves,
I don't think he said
military dick.
Yeah, he's got a military hard-on.
He's circle jerking them. Every time the military is on screen, I mean, you may as well have Keith David narrating "Be All You Can Be" spiel, because they're always doing shit that you've seen them do in the military ads. You know, they even did the thing where they come out of the water and they're just the tops of their heads are out the water and their guns are out. Yeah. They even had that shot in there, and I'm just like, why? Like, it's once again, why are the Transformers there? Because the military's got it on lock.
Yeah,
what's the point?
Throughout this movie, you saw the military, you saw soldiers, army, whatever they were, the TRF, I think is what they were called. They were bucking down 2-story tall robots with M4s and shit and AR-15.
No problem.
And I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? Like, if the Transformers themselves, some of them have trouble shooting each other with their giant fucking, 300 caliber handguns and shit. How the fuck are the fucking military just murking? I forgot, they're hot. They're incendiary rounds that burn hotter than regular. Like, really? That's it? Like, and nothing was I could understand if this was like Contra, where you could just introduce all these different types of guns and say that is the equalizer between the soldiers and the aliens and the monsters that they fight.
We could reverse engineer Cybertronian tech. They didn't even do that.
That too. They didn't even have like the fucking headmasters or the power masters or any of that shit where they could have had, reverse engineering.
Equalizer.
It's just fucking stupid. It was stupid. But so the overall plot was, if you could call it a plot,
the overall plot is really difficult to sum up in one sentence.
No, and I'll do my best. It's that there is a MacGuffin from Arthurian legend that the Arthur in his time, his people saw it as magic, but in reality it's Cybertronian tech that has disappeared over time. And one of the descendants of that, the person who used this MacGuffin back in Arthurian times, is needed to use this MacGuffin to stop Cybertron from waking up Unicron, which is our Earth.
Oh, dude, you really should have led into that. I mean, I know we're like
Transformers Prime.
It's still stupid. It's stupid. It was dumb in Prime. It's dumb now.
Yeah, it was.
Because Unicron...
Like, the horns are popping up. It's like, well, what? Oh, no.
I mean, Agent O, this video is your time to shine, sir. So tell people who is Unicron in the greater. If we're saying there is a Prime lore, and I don't mean by Transformers Prime. I mean the proper Simon Furman. Like, this is the lore of Transformers that everything else is based on. Who is Unicron?
I mean, Unicron and Primus are basically allegories for God and the devil.
Exactly.
So, like, they were fighting each other, and then Primus fooled Unicron into he went into a planet and took the shape of a planet, but Primus fucked up and got trapped in the planet. So, in order to do the same to Unicron, he fooled Unicron into thinking that he had ascended to a more powerful level by becoming this planet. So Unicron did the same thing, but whereas Primus couldn't escape his own prison that he put himself in. Whereas Unicron basically turned himself into a transformable planet. That's why he can transform and Primus can't.
He deceived him. Yeah, it deceived him. Yeah. It's like great deceiver type shit. Yeah.
Yeah, so Primus created the Transformers or the Cybertronians in order to protect them. Exactly. And that's where they come from.
Not this bullshit with Quintessa.
Yeah. Or Primus, or Unicron being the planet Earth. And that's why, which doesn't make sense. Why would you, if Unicron was like this threat, why would you hide shit on Earth or on Earth's moon from the previous Transformer movies.
Or how did you have that stupid plot thread with the aliens that visited and dropped the fucking metal seed that turned the dinosaurs into metallic dinosaurs? You remember that shit?
Yeah, yeah.
What the fuck? This movie retcons all the other movies. Like, every time they make a new movie, they come up with another piece of shit, to another MacGuffin that doesn't make sense, that retcons concepts that they created in the previous one. It's like, how can anyone watch these things and say, oh yeah, this was a good movie, this was quality shit?
Because even at the start of it, when it was like, when they were talking about apparently Transformers just continue to fall from the sky, you know, as a regular occurrence. And I love how most of them always land in like unpopulated areas, or you know,
or in the water,
or in the water, or in an empty stadium on like a Wednesday when nothing's going on. And I'm like, wait a minute, yeah, there. If only there was this thing that would, like, you know, facilitate the transport of Transformers from one place to another. If only there was some bridge that would allow them to go through space.
Space bridge, perhaps?
You know? And they could use that to get from Earth to Cybertron. If only there was a thing that they could use.
Like, the movie feels like the folks that made these films hate the fucking Transformers. Like, there's so many stupid things that they do here that there is a masterful, almost genius version that existed already in the comics. Or in some form of the comics. There's so many stories. I mean, if you want to do the whole, you know, gods of, you know, of Cybertron and shit, you've got fucking, like we said, Primus, and you've got Unicron. You don't even have to go into that. You've got like Nova Prime, and you've got all these other characters that you could throw in that could take that spot. You know what I'm saying? And be the super powerful, scary ass, like, god level threat. But also it would take the Transformers away from Earth. Maybe bring a human character with them, the way we had Spike and Sam and you know, Sparkplug back in the day. Maybe do that, but instead it just gets dumber and dumber. They try to tell us now, here's another plot point that it completely invalidates the rest of the films. That, you remember in Revenge of the Fallen, Optimus Prime was like, you know, supposedly you knew about us and you kept that information from the people or something like that. You know what I mean? Or you kept the fact that you knew about other ships that landed, like the one that landed on the moon.
Yeah.
That wasn't Revenge of the Fallen. That was Dark of the Moon. You didn't say anything, even though you knew about them, and you should have said something so they could have been prepared. Then in this one, they say, Transformers have always been here.
Yeah.
They've been here since...
Even the first movie, they never... They made it seem like...
It's new.
When, because Megatron left Cybertron after whatever it is, after the Allspark, and he landed on, and they made it sound like they never knew about this planet or Earth before.
Yeah.
Because, you know, he crash landed and was frozen in stasis lock or whatever until one of Spike Witwicky's descendants or great-grandfather or whatever found him and then got the location of the Allspark and printed onto his glasses or whatever bullshit they did.
I'll be right back. Keep going. Keep talking.
They never told you, or they never led on that Transformers have always been in there. That's some shit that I know they try to pull a Fast and Furious and add all that shit in, like kind of how Fast and Furious played on the whole family aspect, because, you know, from the first movie, you know, they were all gathered together as a family when they had their, you know, cookout get together. And and it only seemed like, okay, that was that part of the movie. Like, it took place in that movie in the first film, and that was kind of it. But then they kind of expanded on it, and so they wove in all this extra shit that technically wasn't there before, but it's plausible enough that it makes sense if you wanted to write it that way. And Transformers tried to do that, but it's like, no, I totally see what you're doing, and that's totally not the case, because you convoluted everything. Every sequel convolutes the previous films, so I know that's not what you're doing.
Yeah, they don't, like, the sequels don't build on what came before. Like you said, they kind of dismantle what came before and build something shittier next to it.
Yeah,
and then the next sequel does the same thing, and it's like, But I swear, what was it? The third movie or something that started with Caveman coming across Transformers? Because I can't remember whether it was Dark of the Moon or whether that was
That may have been the fourth one because that's when they planted the metallic seed or whatever.
Yes, the seeds was.
Yeah, that was the fourth one. That's one of my big gripes with this whole entire franchise. Because one day I was thinking to myself, like, the Fast and Furious movies they're dumb movies, but they're written way better than the Transformer movies.
Because they're consistent.
I can forgive. Yeah, they're consistent. I can forgive the stuff that they're adding in now, only because they did, like, the Fast and Furious movies exist in just as movies. There was no lore, there was no storyline behind it.
Yeah,
that inspired the films. Where
it was car porn
all this other stuff that came
comics
before the
and
film.
cartoons.
That's why I can't let that shit go, especially when the books are still doing it better than the movie.
But that's also why I can't really get behind all those people who are just like who pile on too Fast and Furious. It's like like you said, there's nothing else to this. It's just the one action movie franchise now that Expendables is kind of done that we get. And yes, it's clearly an action movie now. Ever since the fourth one, ever since they took out the villains.
Yeah, it's a cartoon.
It's pretty much, but now that's what it is. And like I said, it's the only action movie we get pretty much outside of stuff that comes out in the summer. I don't understand why it inspires so much hate. Transformers, absolutely, because like we've been saying forever, there's a good way. Fuck right way. There's a good way to do this.
Yeah,
where like you can come up with stories that make sense and build on them later and all that, but instead we get what we get. We get murderous butler bots and all that shit. And I'm like, what?
Yeah, man, Strident, you were right. Like when you said that the jokes fell flat, like I don't think I laughed at anything in the movie.
Man, I shook my head. I mean, I remember I was yelling out loud, like no, like when Cogman was like, or Cogsworth was like, of all of the masters I've had over the years, you were the coolest. I was like, get the fuck out of here.
Or when Berlin was like riding, and he was like, oh my god, I'm so sloshed. And he was like, oh, one more nip. And then he starts drinking again.
Yeah.
Like,
I
just wasn't feeling it. It just didn't feel like maybe the comedic timing was off or something.
No, it was the material.
It was the
material. It was the material. They couldn't deliver that material in a way to make it funny. Either
exactly.
It was delivered as the best they could.
Well, no, they didn't set it up. All they did was mention, oh, he's a lush, he's blah, 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 he's a drunkard or some bullshit. And then immediately when you see him, that's it. And the scene even went on for too long. It didn't even... I mean, it just didn't feel like anything. Like, they didn't show what he's supposed to be doing and then show him fail at doing that. It's literally like this... I don't know. There was no lead up into the war so that you didn't feel like, oh, I know who these characters are first, so when you make a joke about them, I understand what it's supposed to... You know, I feel it. I get it. Nothing. It was just literally like, hey, guess what? He's a drunk. Then they show him he's a drunk. How's that a joke?
Because you were supposed to literally have your impression of Merlin going into this movie. Then they mention that Merlin's in the movie, so you're supposed to feel strongly about like Merlin. No, he's great, he's wise and powerful, and then like next thing you know is you see him freaking with a bottle of wine. It's like, whoa, fuck that.
Yeah,
but like you said, what? No. What? Because seriously, you're right. What was the reaction supposed? Was it supposed to be belly laughter? Was I supposed to be like rolling in my chair at that?
I mean, they tried to flip the script on Merlin being a magician or a sorcerer, and I'm saying, and then now the actual truth was he was a screw up, and the Transformers were behind everything that he did. But
this is the problem. That's the problem. That's the problem with modern action movie. Well, I shouldn't say action movie, but superhero movie franchise storytelling in a nutshell. Everything is always connected. They did that shit with the previous Spider-Man films where everything came from Oscorp. And it was like, that's lame. It's fucking lame. Because it's not even remotely how it worked in the giant realm. Like, if we're gonna believe that Spider-Man has his own universe, You couldn't make everything come from one organization. That's dumb. It's not a universe then. You know what I mean? That's just a piece of the pie. If the Transformers is supposed to be a universe, a galaxy-spanning epic, and you make the whole entire fucking epic take place on Earth, like, come on. And then you try to interweave the Transformers into every aspect of history. Everything.
Yeah.
Come the fuck on. You failed. And for the people who are trying to say, oh, no, it's great. It's awesome. You can't expect it to be just like the cartoons. No. We expect it to be like 30 years of history that came before it. Fucking troglodytes, man. Like, all you got to do is, like, use your brain. Like, does this make sense to you if you watch the previous ones? Like, they literally shit on the fan base that likes the previous films. They're like, oh yeah, fuck what you thought you knew. Fuck what we told you previously. This is a better idea. But then reboot the shit. Completely reboot it, make it obvious. Or the lowest common denominator is perfectly amused when Optimus Prime shows up and tells you that he's Optimus Prime 1,000 times in one movie. No.
Since this was supposed to be a drink and watch, young adults. So here's a fun little game. If you're going to actually watch this movie now after hearing us like thrash it, first off, you haven't been listening. Like, secondly, if you want to play the drinking game we were going to play, here's how to have fun with it. Every time someone says Optimus Prime or Optimus Prime, take a drink.
Yep.
Every time Optimus Prime says his own name, take 2 drinks.
Oh, you're gonna be drunk quick.
You'll pass out before the movie ends.
I know. It's ridiculous. Like, he would show up and be like, I am Optimus Prime. Like, how do we not know who you are? It's the 5th fucking movie, and you were a household name 30 years before these films came out. Like, are you kidding me? Like, all of us that are parents, we were watching Optimus Prime when we were kids. How are you going to introduce him to us like we don't know who he is by now? I mean, granted, the design is so far from what he's supposed to be, because that design is whack. I'm sorry. This whole night motif, lame. It's not... There's characters who have that... somewhat have that aesthetic, but they stand out in the general, amongst the general populace of Transformers, Autobots and Decepticons, because they're the ones who have that motif. You can't make everybody just about have that motif.
But you can make somebody a samurai, though.
Ugh.
You know what pisses me off about this film? Okay, you have, like I'm thinking about how where characters popped up throughout the film, because, like, the little girl, they touted her as, like, I almost thought she was the star of the movie.
Me too.
But she's, like, in less than half of the movie. Like, there's huge chunks of the film where she's just not even there. It's Cade Yeager and, Marky Mark doing his thing. But you had, like, the Dinobots who show up, and they're basically a cameo, and they don't have any lines. They don't really do anything.
And
they have, like, a little bit of a fight scene.
Why is it, like... you have Grimlock, but then the other ones are babies. What's the deal with that?
Yeah. How are they having kids?
Well,
my main question, who's humping who? Because they all seem like they were males.
Mm-hmm.
So where were the fembots at? and then why did you have them in the end of the movie? Like, when you're fighting Megatron and all his forces and that big ass Minotaur bot, where the fuck were the Dinobots?
What the fuck was the Minotaur bot?
I don't know, man.
This is beginning to show up
out of nowhere.
There's no basis for that.
This is beginning to sound like Red Letter.
They just win because fuck it, why not?
There could have been something kind of like the Terrorcons, because they had the 3-headed dragon, which I think there was
that was Dragonbane. That was his name.
Yeah.
Wait, his name was what?
Dragonbane.
Oh, I didn't even know he had a name.
I saw the toy. That's the only reason why I know.
How many characters formed that fucking dragon? Because I swear in the movie it said 9 of them.
No, he's one guy.
He
was a combiner.
The dragon was a combiner? Because there is a dragon. Yeah. The wyvern that you see in the beginning of the movie is one guy.
Yeah, the 3-headed dragon's a combiner.
No. The one I'm talking about was just, he's got one head.
Oh.
And his wings are, like, on his hands. Like, on his smaller hands. He was in the intro. He's kind of like he looks like a robotic version of the dragon from Dragonheart, kind of. Or no, not Dragonheart. God, what was the movie called? with Christian Bale and what's his name?
Rain of Fire.
Rain of Fire. That's what he looked like the dragons from that. The three-headed one, you're right. It's the knights. It's a bunch of the knights that were left who, for some reason, they never introduced them properly. Yet they have
they never got any of their names. Yeah, nothing.
They have a whole scene where they're beating the shit out of Optimus Prime, and there's no introduction. You don't know who any of these people are. They're just handing out ass whoopings, and it's like, how does anyone follow this shit?
It's because it's not about the Transformers. It's never been. It's about Cade Yeager and all the people involved that are dealing with it.
Cade Yeager is the chosen one.
Like, if you wanted to do a spin-off movie dealing with those people and how they deal with all this shit, fine, but make the Transformers movie about the Transformers.
I know.
Like, they introduced that Canopy character only to kill him, which he was lame as fuck anyway.
I know, he was a rock lord. He was a fucking rock lord. I'm like, wait, really? We're going there? You're introducing rock lords, but there's like pivotal characters from Transformers that you still haven't shown. You made Hot Rod French for no fucking reason. Like, Hot Rod is one of the most infamous characters in the fucking Transformers franchise because people either love him or hate him based on the movie. And you make him just some random arbitrary fucking robot with a French accent that doesn't turn into a Hot Rod or anything close to it.
Because saying Hot Rod with a French accent is funny. It's funny.
Oh, so there were so many stereotypes in this movie, man. Everybody just about was a stereotype.
The Decepticon.
Oh, let's shit. We may as well jump into it.
Yes.
Fucking
free at last. That motherfucker had a gold chain.
Yeah.
He had a dookie rope chain.
Two of them did. Mohawk and Nitro Zeus had chains. Get the
Nitro Zeus.
That name, Nitro Zeus. I'm never gonna let that shit go. You motherfuckers that say this shit is good, and they gave you a character named fucking Nitro Zeus. Like, get the what the serious fuck?
What did he even transform into?
This big ass jet. He turned into a jet. He turned into like a seeker jet.
He did.
Like an F-16 or F-15 something or other. It was nice, whatever it was. But I'm like, why didn't you just make us a bunch of seekers? Why didn't you just give us the seekers?
The ones that are left, because Starscream was dead.
Yeah,
they had They gave the
DED.
That sucker's dead.
They had the whole like Hamlet with his head, like, oh,
yeah.
If only you could see this or something like that. I'm like,
man, I can't. Oh God, it's making me mad talking about it now.
I'm telling you, man.
Who was the guy they wouldn't let out? Was that Berserker or was that somebody else? Berserker again, totally.
Yeah, they wouldn't let him out. I was like, why the fuck did you even show us this?
Well, there were two guys that he said he wouldn't let out. One guy was huge, and then the other guy was Berserker. He was strapped down. Remember, the big guy was talking shit to people, and I think they where was he, though? I think they showed what he did. They showed him kill off a whole bunch of people, and then they were like, absolutely not.
Yeah, he came to rob a bank, but didn't steal any of the money. He just killed everybody.
Yeah. Well, I thought that
I did laugh at. I'm not gonna lie, I laughed at that because that seemed like a Decepticon thing that a Decepticon would do.
Well, but
I was gonna say, then how did he even know he wanted to rob a bank?
That's what I'm saying. Like, why would he
just killed everybody inside?
Yeah, why would he rob a bank? Why would a Decepticon rob a bank? Like, this is the problem, right? From the beginning, they left out the very important details of what happened. Like, the Autobots and Decepticons are kind of stranded on Earth. So there was the whole war for Energon, which they completely ignored. Then there's the whole war for the parts to build a space bridge so they can get back to Cybertron. They left that shit out. So, like, a lot of things that are happening just happen. There's no real reason. Like, how do you go to District 9 with Transformers, where you have them as, like, fugitives living on refugees living on planet Earth, and they're, like, endangered when they could easily rule everybody. But you didn't establish the things. They don't want to be here, the ones that are here. They want to go home. That's the point. But amidst them wanting to go home, they still are fighting amongst themselves. So, like, isn't that more interesting than the bullshit that I don't understand? Like, and I'm not a dumbass. Like, none of us here are stupid. We're not geniuses, and I don't think you need to be a genius to get this garbage. But, like, even for us who understand story structure, we've read a lot of stories, and we understand how to create things from scratch and make it kind of a well constructed machine, this shit doesn't make sense. No one has.
Well, that's the problem. It's poorly written. It's poorly edited. Like, there's only one editing style for this entire movie, and that was fast.
Yeah.
Like it's editing for people with ADD, because from the very beginning of the movie, everything is quick cuts. As soon as something ends, you're all the way. You get completely transitioned to something else. There's no. It's not like a simple story structure like, say, I'm sorry, not Winter Soldier, but Civil War, where like the end of the scene ends and then there's a transition, then it cuts and you're in Budapest or wherever, and then they tell you you're in Budapest. Like they set it up really fast,
like there's no,
and then let you go. It's just one thing rapidly right after the next throughout the entire film, and it's jarring as fuck. Because
it's not jarring.
Because you don't have any time to let anything sink in.
It's not even
because
jarring.
They're throwing something else at you right away.
It's not even jarring. It's like violent editing. It's just like you're rapid fire for the sake of being rapid fire because you think that shit is slick. It'd be jarring if they actually set up a scene first and then we get kind of comfortable with the scene and then they're like, boom, we move to something else. No, they don't even try to jar you. Literally, it's like machine gun editing. Literal.
Yeah.
Like, just blah, blah,
I have
blah,
a
blah,
feeling that this movie was really, really shitty, like when they shot it, and this is the end result of it. Like, the way they edited everything together is the end result.
I think
just because of...
He did it for the money. Because you had 4 writers. The story was by Akiva Goldsman, Art Markham, Matt Holloway, and Ken Nolan. You don't need that many people to write this fucking schlock.
Did all of them at least work on 1 or 2 other movies? I think maybe they brought in one person that didn't, but the majority of them, I think at least 3 of them worked on at least one of these movies.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like unnecessary for you to have that many people that come out. You come out with this. If you had a complex story that had like an actual beginning, middle, and an end, I'd be like, okay. But like this movie doesn't even understand its own universe. Like, when did they start arresting Decepticons? If I remember correctly, at the end of the last movie, there was no Megatron. He was fucking Galvatron, and he was made of fucking robotics blocks, and he was or Orbots blocks or whatever those things were called, cubics or whatever they're called. he was like floating around and shit, and he turned into a truck. Where did this transformation come from? You just forgot that happened. Also, they were murking Autobots and Decepticons in the previous films, the last 2. So where did they start putting them? When and why would you be putting them in jail? That doesn't make sense.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
I know.
It's Transformers.
Ultimately, it doesn't
matter.
Because you're not supposed to be asking those questions. Nobody else here is having a good time to ask those questions, right?
Exactly.
I mean, if you're going to ask that question, you have to ask, why the fuck was Bumblebee the only Transformer able to put himself back together after being blown to pieces? I was going to bring that up,
too. Why multiple times? That was an attack he did, where he showed up, got blowed up in car form, and then came back together, kicking and slapping and shooting stuff as he was doing it. And I'm like, since when? So you're trying to tell me he just can't die? So why do I care when Optimus Prime is ripping him apart? He can put himself right back together. This is the kind of shit I'm talking about. Like, how the fuck do you how can anybody be like, I like this? It doesn't even make sense if you do like it.
Like, you can't turn your brain off. Because if you had to turn your brain off in order to enjoy this, you'd have to turn it off so far that you'd be dead.
You'd have to go to sleep.
because you can't, like you see something so dumb or so outlandish or so that just doesn't work, that your brain would just automatically come back on because your brain would be like, yo, that makes no sense
it does not
compared to everything you've shown me.
Yeah.
The only way you could enjoy this is if you were fucking dead.
Well, you were fucking dumb.
Because
you wouldn't catch any of this stuff. You wouldn't catch any of these problems.
Yeah, if you're turning your brain off, like you said, you're canceling out higher order thinking.
Like you forget to breathe and then you die.
You're not asking yourself why this, why that, because what's happening in front of you is at least sufficient enough to where you don't want to do that in the moment. But like you said, if you're watching this movie and you're like, wait a minute, why is this? Like, why do they need this thing? Wait, who is this? Why? If you're constantly doing that, then you're being pulled out of it. And in a fucking Transformers movie, it's sad that shit happens.
It doesn't make sense. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Like, literally, you're sitting there drooling and pooping on yourself in the theater. You know what I mean? Just pushing food in your mouth, like zombified in front of this garbage. Like, it's literal fucking garbage. Like, when they say cinematic excrement, this should be what they show. And it's funny, so for all the people who keep on putting this shit on Michael Bay, understand that the visuals, it's all him. And I think in terms of visuals, he did his fucking thing. Shit looked crazy, especially the end of the movie. It looked crazy. But what was going on didn't make sense, and that's a script problem. That's the setup for everything you saw a lot of times made no sense. You know, from the way that the, you know, Bumblebee would flip and spin and blah. I mean, like, some things were kind of framed better so you could understand the action, but I still found myself confused because everything was murky, brown and green and gray, and except for when Optimus Prime showed up with his purple eyes and his bright red and blue
Nemesis Prime.
Oh, I'm sorry. I am No, you're not. No, you're not. Like, even that right there, like, really, there's a whole fan base of people who love Nemesis Prime. And you're going to turn around and just make Optimus Prime spout some arbitrary garbage that doesn't really fit. Like, he's not Nemesis Prime.
Why
Optimus
couldn't Quintessa actually just make him if she needed a Prime that much?
Well, better yet, who the fuck was Quintessa?
Exactly.
Like, they never explained to you who the fuck she is and what her connection is to the Transformers. She says she created them or whatever, but, like, that's literally about it.
Yeah.
Well, then I guess she
it's like, why did you create them?
Yeah.
Why did you let them destroy Cybertron?
Who is she?
What was your motivation?
So, I had never heard of Quintessa before this. Have you?
No, she doesn't exist.
I've seen
she's some sort of amalgamation of, I guess, the
Quintessons
and Primus.
Which is pretty stupid. Because, like, they've literally just dumbed down the concept of Primus, if that's the case. They've dumbed down everything else, so I guess it shouldn't surprise me. But, like,
yeah, I mean, they dumbed it down with the Allspark, if you want to take it all the way back to that.
It's true. Very true.
The Allspark created everything.
I need to bring the Allspark into my chest and destroy it. It's like, you're trying to kill Megatron.
Yeah.
Bringing it into your chest will kill you. I'm willing to bet bringing it into his chest will kill him.
Even
that was
stupid
stone.
because, like, bringing it into Bumblebee's chest put his legs back together.
Yeah,
but bringing it
that's why he can just fall apart and build back up again. Ever since then,
nah, because you know, I just this movie hurt. It hurt. Like while I was watching it, I was like, it's bad. It's not like. I don't think it's like on a technical level when you talk about effects and visuals and the fidelity of the effects and such. That stuff is not bad. By now,
even the storyboarding, like that scene where Bumblebee first fell apart and started coming back together. Like I was like, wow, that would be cool if they had established he could actually do that. Like if I saw Iron Man doing that with his modular armor,
yeah.
I'd have been like, yo, that was hot. That would actually be hot.
Exactly.
But that's because they've already established he built an armor that could do that sort of thing.
Or like the scene when Barricade, like, man, they just, like there's a scene where Barricade is like tailing Cade Yeager and his people. And then he reports back to Megatron and you barely see what's going on. Then they reveal Megatron, you know, him yelling at him. Then later on, Barricade shows up when they're in, like, Europe somewhere, in this car chase, and he's chasing Bumblebee, and then Bumblebee kind of transforms halfway while driving so that he could shoot, what's his name? Even though in one of the, I think it was the third movie or something, there was a whole scene with, like, battle mode, remember? Where they were like, they were like all like opened out, and there was weapons.
Wheels came out, and there were like racks of missiles in the wheels.
Yeah, there was like missiles all over the place. I'm like, wait, so you forgot that you already have a solution to this problem, and you made him? He literally half transformed. Like his arm with the gun came out, the seat was leaning outward with Marky Mark in it, so that he wouldn't fall into the street. Because
his head was in between him and the library chick.
Yeah, and they're like looking over at what's his name, and then boom, 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 he shoots what's his name, and he transforms, rolls, and flips, and falls down, and he says something like, "Welcome to the big leagues." I'm like, oh, God. These scenes would be cool if you actually paid attention to shit that you already established in your own series. You got 5 fucking movies. Most movies don't get to that point.
Yeah. I'm telling you, I would have totally ripped how the wheel mechanics in, like, Speed Racer or, like, Riding Bean, because that's, I think, where they got it from watching Riding Bean, where the wheels turn completely horizontal and the car can, like, drive, but, like, it's driving sideways. And they would have had all the guns and shit come out and just shoot them. Like, all that shit would have looked cool. Like, that would have looked cool without having him having a completely half transform and then shoot him.
The battle mode would have just looked cool. Because then you could have done any of that shit. Because we've already
that's what I'm saying. Do battle mode and then have his wheels turn completely horizontal and to be able to get in line to shoot.
I'm pretty sure that's what they did in the previous film. That was the whole point. Was that, or in the whichever film that was where they did that. The car performs differently because you have to remember that just because on the surface they look like earthbound vehicles, it doesn't mean they're confined or restricted to what those vehicles do because they're aliens. So, like, the lack of imagination is staggering when you think about what they're working with. Then you think about the lack of logic even after they've established that, hey, they can do all this stuff. They still don't do all this stuff. Like the time weapon that Hot Rod had. Where the fuck did that come from? It's like you literally just pull shit out of your ass just to do it, and people are like, that's sweet. That's dope. I like that.
It's a nice nod because, again, if you go back all the way to the comics and the before the cartoons pretty much started, like, their weapons used to have properties.
Yeah.
But
you had a character that was his thing, was building weapons that did different shit.
And you murked him. No, matter of fact, they never actually put him in the series. Wheeljack never was in the regular Transformers in this series.
No.
They had
but
Ratchet,
then when you do this in this movie, it's like, well, this is clearly just going to be important. Plot point later.
Yeah, exactly. Insert, Deus Ex Machina
later.
Oh, man. I swear people need to... I guess if you just go to be entertained, then hey, more power to you, whatever. You have a skill that I don't have.
I wish I could have been entertained, but
Me too.
One thing, there was like just enough time in between action scenes for like this shit to just really grate on me. Like, because it's not even a whole like okay, fine. Obviously, you throw like Cade and the fucking and descendant of Merlin, because I don't remember her name, like together. It's like, wow, they're eventually supposed to be together, right?
Oh man, I was actually mad at that. Because, they did the whole cliche thing where they start off arguing and not disliking each other. And then all it took was her to was Cade Yeager to have his shirt off. And she was like, oh, I want the D now. Like, and then by the end of the movie, I was like, as smart as this woman is, because it's funny how, we had the previous films, whenever they'd have a super hot chick, she really didn't do shit. And so they finally were like, okay, let's make her actually do something. So instead of just making her like have stuff to do, they had to make her a super smart doctor, and she had all these PhDs and all these different fields, and then have her be the catalyst that can control the Merlin staff or whatever. And they went way out of the way to have her do shit, but then like she was still like super like oversexed. Like they did the whole librarian thing when she's like giving the tour, like with the hair tied up and the sexy glasses and shit. And I'm just like, I can't take none of this shit seriously.
I guess at this point we're not supposed to.
I mean, you're not supposed to. It's for guys, and I guess that's what they figure guys want. Guys want super hot, sexy, I guess, fetish fantasy or whatever. Not even fetish, just a fantasy. Cause
hey, just be grateful that they didn't stop the movie for 5 minutes and decide to talk about that shit.
Yeah.
They even did a foot shot in there. Like, Michael Bay likes feet. Like they had a shot of her getting out of the car.
I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with that. All right. Of all the things I'm gonna complain about in this film, her being hot and him appreciating every angle. Okay, fine. I don't care because the movie was shit. There had to be something in there. I'm not going into the whole like social ramifications of the way that this chick signed on to be that character. You know what I mean? So people can bitch about when representation of females in media. She wanted to be in a film in which she was represented like this. She knew it because it's a Michael Bay film. He probably made it beyond obvious. She probably had to go through a whole lot of other demeaning shit to get the job to begin with because it's Michael Bay. Come on, he's notorious for this shit. So yeah, her looking good in her heels and shit, I'm not even going to complain. It's the fact that she really was she was a piece, she was the compound piece of the Deus Ex Machina / MacGuffin of the film. So besides that, all she was she had to look good as she gets to the point where she became useful. I'm like, you could have made, there could have been more about her. She could have, been deep.
And that's my gripe. Yeah, you could have done a lot more with it.
Yeah.
But they just didn't.
No, they established once they established her purpose. There was nothing else for her.
Yeah,
yeah, and then that by the end of the movie they're like, yeah, we're gonna go hump like off camera somewhere, and it just felt really generic and
well, it was,
I don't know, paid by numbers movie, like action movie bullshit, popcorn movie bullshit. And when you have this weird, interesting franchise that you could just do so much more with, and you choose to just do the base shit, that we've seen like back in the day. And it worked back in the day because you didn't see it that often. But now it's like, yeah, we've seen Arnold Schwarzenegger like go off with the chick right off into the sunset. Like, you need to do more now because that's not enough anymore.
In this franchise, they need to do more because, like you said earlier, that kind of shit works in the Fast and Furious films. There's no problems with that stuff because they've already set up the universe that like half of the team is all alpha males. So we get that. You got your nerds, you got your bunch of alpha males. I mean, there's at least like 3 or 4 of them that are alpha males. One is not as effective as an alpha male.
Yeah,
he actually jumped ship. He jumped ship from the Transformers franchise to be a kind of alpha male in the Fast and Furious, but you still get it. They're the kind of guy who look for that kind of girl, and even the girls they pick are somewhat capable. You know what I mean? Like, all the girls do something in those films. They don't just show up and wiggle their asses. The problem is...
They give back as much as they're given in terms of, like, when the guys are, like, jockeying for position, like when, what's her name, the hacker chick, like, she's always got a witty retort right back at them. Like, she's every bit their equal.
Yeah.
Whereas in this movie, I just...
Yeah, but come on, Phil, you had 4 prior movies to get this. That's not even... Because already that this was going to happen. We all know that this was going to happen. This is not...
Wait. Hold on. So what happened in the beginning, actually? Because now I just started thinking about it. When Prime was floating in space, like dead, after his poorly conceived plan to like reach Cybertron from Earth, he was like, was there some kind of recording playing or some shit?
Yeah.
So he just literally turned himself into a satellite.
I don't know. I think he was picking up on a signal that was being shot out into
space. It was his voice. It was his voice. Like, I am Optimus Prime. I am going to Cybertron.
And I'm coming for you.
Oh no!
He said that
it
shit,
was
like,
them. It was like the flashback to. It was them tying together the last words of the previous film. Because remember, that's how the last movie ended. With him
thought it was a recording.
Him saying, "I'm coming for you." No, because it was playing. It starts playing at the tail end of Anthony Hopkins' piece, and then it just kind of transitions into him floating, and if the sentence finishes with your view of him floating out in space, then the title credits, then he crashes on Cybertron.
And Stan Bush, and I'm sorry, no Stan Bush.
You know what I put? What's funny is Anthony Hopkins, like his exit for the movie was so dumb.
He just got murked and it was done.
Yeah, like I thought it was funny how his cane turned into the pimp cane from Saints Row 2.
Yeah.
Fucking, it even had the Transformer sound. I was like, why'd you use the Transformer sound, the transformation sound for the fucking cane? You had all these actual Transformers transforming throughout the whole movie.
Yeah.
But you never use that sound. Instead, you use it for his cane, his pimp cane.
Well,
he started bucking everybody, then he got murked.
They use the sound.
Cybertronian pimp cane.
I know, right? They use the sound. It's layered. It's always hidden underneath all these other clanking and clinking and dubstep sounds and shit, you know? So it's kind of, I don't know, man. There's so many aspects of this franchise that just feel like they shat all over the original, you know, the source material. Like, you never get the feeling that it's a militia, Autobots, versus the actual military, the Decepticons. It's become, like, equal, like they're equal in terms of battle strength, and they're just as murderous as one another. You know what I mean? Like, Optimus Prime doesn't even use a gun anymore. What happened?
Hey, Hound is not murderous. Hound just, like, you know, he just wants to be prepared.
Yeah. Hound is like the embodiment of... if Team America was a robot, they would be Hound. Like, that's literal. I'm surprised that when he transforms, it doesn't... Instead of going womp, 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 it doesn't go, America! Yeah. So lick my butt and suck on my balls, America! Like, I'm just like, really? He's so generic. And you think of what Hound was even in the comics. He's pretty smart. He wasn't perfect. He wasn't bloodthirsty. It's like all these weird, like they saw pictures of the characters and then made up their own personalities for them. Kind of like if you collected the toys before you watched the cartoon, so you had no idea what they were supposed to sound like and what they were supposed to act like. You kind of make up your own version. That's literally what you have in this film, because so many characters don't act like themselves. Bumblebee is Optimus's oldest friend. No, Ironhide should have been. What happened? Yeah. What happened? Where's Jazz? Jazz is another one of his oldest friends, but you killed him off in the first fucking movie, so we never got to that point.
Oh,
Jazz. Cliff Jumper. You didn't even really put Cliff Jumper in the films. Like, you had Enzo or something.
They had a place to put him in.
Uh-huh.
They really did. They could have put him in right in the fourth movie. Like, this fucker thinks, yeah, I'm the stop rally racer. Like, no, motherfucker, you just been driving a Transformer this whole time.
Exactly, and that would have been perfect.
It's like, that's why you're so good.
Yeah, that would have been perfect, and they didn't do it. There's so many characters that they didn't introduce that they needed to, like that core bunch from the early Transformers films. Come on, man, Phil, you're letting me run with the ball, Phil, man.
Yeah, I mean, you don't even have Prowl in the film.
Nope.
Like, Prowl's never been in the
He
wasn't. Wait, he was a Corvette, wasn't he, Prowl?
No, that was a Sideswipe.
No, that was Sideswipe. Oh yeah, damn, yeah. Prowl's never been in there.
Because you have
Raz has never been in there.
Yep.
Weight Charger or Huffer. I mean, there's a lot of characters just
Trax.
from G1.
Yeah,
Trax.
Yeah, even little ones like they constantly want to come up with like smaller ones too. Ever since like they made Bumblebee like freaking 80% the size of Prime, it's like no, there are smaller cars that transform into smaller Transformers in this series that you could use.
Exactly.
And they never do. Like you said, you just ran off a whole list of them. It's like Stacks, friggin' like all like Stacks, Huffer, like all of them. Like you said, Brawn would have been friggin' awesome. It was just like some little truck that has like friggin' 1,000 horsepower.
Exactly. You got all this unbelievable strength.
And it's weird because like you think about in a world where you have the Fast and Furious. And then you have Transformers, where they're robots that turn into cars. How come the car part isn't just ripped from Fast and Furious, and then the physical action of the robots isn't ripped from like a John Woo film or something?
Or better yet, the Fast and Furious, that's the Stunticons all day.
Yeah, I know, right?
Oh my god, like, if you put in there, like, game over for everyone.
And they didn't even do that. They could have done that, and they could have had, like, a bunch of humans that are badasses driving these cars Or maybe they have like the holograms that are made to look like parodies of the fucking Fast and Furious people, and that shit would have been awesome. Nope. Or like how they called Starscream, my treacherous friend. No, that wasn't the Starscream that we saw in any of the previous films. Because that Starscream was obedient. He liked Megatron. The Starscream
they threw a line out in the first movie about like how he was like trying to betray him. Like they made it sound like that should happen one time.
Yeah.
And it's like a thing that Megatron just never let him forget.
Well, in that universe, it did happen one time. As opposed to it
being like a running theme in the cartoons.
Even in the comics, like in the IDW comics, I think in All Hail Megatron, Megatron even tells Starscream like, one day you are going to take over, and you're gonna take over through your treacherous methods. It's just not gonna be today.
Yeah. And he says something like that in War for Cybertron, I think it is, or Fall of Cybertron. Same line. I'm telling you, everyone else gets this, but the guys with all the money making the movie. Like, it doesn't make sense, like, how much of the characters are missing from these films. They're so much more interesting in every other medium, maybe except for the cartoons these days, because the cartoons are trash. But with in almost every other medium, they're more interesting than in these films, because the other mediums get that there's personality, there's depth, there's history to this conflict, and they get what the conflict actually is. I don't think that Michael Bay and them actually get it. I mean, I know they don't, because they've had 5 tries and they failed all 5 times.
Tries.
It's like they don't care. I mean, they're going to literally do whatever, and it's going to make $1 billion.
Well, this one so far has been the lowest earning of the bunch. I don't think they even hit...
They've been trending downward ever since the third one, I think. Or was the third one the highest or the second one the highest?
The third one was the highest, but I think the fourth, when they did the fourth one, is when it started to be on the decline.
Yeah, this one too. It's like, and that's the thing. I think I had to say it in another video too. It's like that's why they look like us. That's why they have a head and a body and arms and legs. So you look at them and you humanize them immediately. And then when they start speaking and you realize they have their own wants and desires and thoughts and feelings, it's like, wow, they're kind of just like us. So you see them as not just freaking like walking special effects, but as, characters in a story that can move the plot and can cause things to happen. Here, even though the MacGuffin they're chasing is Cybertronian, everything that moves the fucking plot along is human.
Yeah. And
I'm like, and that's been the case for 5 goddamn movies. It's like that's why I don't think they could do a movie in Cybertron, and this movie may have been the final fuck you to that, because they just bring Cybertron to fucking Earth.
And they said they got like 17 more movies or 14 more movies. I'm like, you're not gonna make it that far, because this shit is terrible. You haven't grown since the first film. All you did was make the threat bigger, but the characters are still paper fucking thin. And like, how do you make paper fucking thin characters that have 30 plus years of history behind them? Like, almost all the face characters that we know, not Nitro Zeus and Mohawk. I'm talking about real Transformers. They all got...
Man, Nitro Zeus has an incredibly rich history. If you'll read...
Yeah, and it's steeped in the Jim Crow laws and shit.
I
couldn't believe that shit. Nitro Zeus and Mohawk, and they both were like just straight up stereotypical, like racist. I still can't believe that shit. And I'm okay.
Even the kids, that little black kid, we're kids. We get away with everything. And then I hate how I was actually pissed that they started the movie off with they did the whole hey, you want to see a dead body thing, but instead it was like, hey, you want to see a dead robot?
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, you guys aren't slick. I see that shit, and yeah, fuck you. That shit wasn't cool.
Wait, but what's the problem with the hey, you want to see a dead body thing with all the kids?
Because that coupled with everything that Black Kid said, I don't know, I just wasn't, it put a bad taste in my mouth.
It felt like the beginning of like so many 80s films, like with little kids.
I'll give what's the name the nod again too for a little. After that scene, like there's so many other those kids. Well, I mean, those kids for one, it's like, dude, like real people don't talk like this. People think that real people. Some people who don't no, think people talk like this. CinemaSin said that shit about the fourth movie.
Yeah.
It's like like the film was populated by people that do and say things normal people would never do or say.
Exactly.
And I'm like,
it just felt really really generic, like somebody who's never talked to like even a nerd or anybody of color.
Yeah.
It just felt really shitty, and that coupled with the Transformers that were bad black stereotypes.
Or the Rock Lord, the fucking Rock Lord.
Yeah, I mean him and Nitro Zeus and Mohawk, like it just felt like one compounding the other. It made me just really fucking angry.
And
like
you know
guys
what's
are
funny?
still doing that shit after the Negro bots. You didn't learn your fucking lesson.
Why did they have an introduction sequence for those bots that Megatron wanted, but not for all the other bots that were in the film? Like, there were so many characters that it was like, who the fuck is that? Like the Day Trader, I think he was called.
Oh yeah, by Steve Buscemi. He was the voice actor for that.
Like, why the fuck didn't they tell us? Like, when he showed up, why didn't we get a name across the bottom? You know what I'm saying? Like, just there it is, name card. Or like, you know what I mean? When Drift shows up and he's a completely different design from the previous film. Why did they?
He's
put
a different car. Isn't he a Mercedes now?
I wasn't. I just know he's red and gray and silver or something like that. Whereas before he was like blue and gold and black.
Yeah, because he was a Bugatti.
I'm like, what the fuck? You just decided to change and nobody says anything? You know, whereas all your brethren are the same as they were before. Like
who?
Like
they probably couldn't secure the Bugatti license this movie.
I don't care.
Change them to Mercedes.
I'm just saying. I don't even care what the behind the scenes is.
Yeah, no, I know.
Tell us who that is. I mean, I knew who it was because I know who Drift is. But like, they could. If they're going to introduce Nitro Zeus, who the fuck is Nitro Zeus? Where the fuck does he come from? Like, that's not even a Transformer. Now he is, but beforehand he was not. And now you're gonna introduce him with fanfare, but not the Transformers that people are supposed to actually give a shit about. Like the Minotaur guy, like we were talking about, that was a fucking combiner. Who the fuck was that? Who were the combiners that became him? Was that Nitro Zeus and them turned into that? Because I couldn't tell. I just saw random bots, just jump together.
No, and they all had horns because when they disassembled and Optimus cut all their heads off, they all had horns on their heads.
So who are they? Where's the name card for those guys? Like, there's
I don't know.
Much inconsistent bullshit in this.
First off, I thought that the fact that they broke out name cards out of nowhere all of a sudden,
Squad.
I'm like,
that was all it was. Wait, we like Suicide Squad, so let's do our own version. That's what it was.
It's like basically, I'm like, wait, what? Oh, wait. And then like, wait, we're just gonna name more characters. I'm like, holy fuck! Like, no one else has ever gotten this.
Yeah, it was really weird and out of place.
It's indicative of the whole movie.
It reminded me of when Michael Bay had did what's that movie with Anthony Mackie and Mark Wahlberg. Yeah, it felt like that, like that. Let me rip off Guy Ritchie and his style movies.
Yes.
Just that's where it felt like it came from, and it was like he was trying to harken back to that or something. But then, as soon as you see it, it's gone, and you're like, why was that even there in the first place?
It was garbage. He should have known better. He should never do that shit again. And it's fucked up because these are things that if you had, they said they have a fucking brain trust. I think they need to cross out the brain part because their trust obviously is not very good.
They have a brain dead trust.
Yeah, exactly. Because they said there's like a whole big like writer's room that comes up with all this shit, and you're trying to tell me no one said
monkeys on typewriters.
Monkeys with crayons, just like writing the script. Like, there's no way. I know, right? Just throwing shit at the screen, at the camera and whatnot. Like, it just doesn't make sense how off the whole thing is. Like, how many holes, how many just stupid plot contrivances, how many issues there are when you have that many. I mean, I guess it just goes back to the whole too many cooks spoil the broth. You know what I mean? Like, everybody's putting their hands in there and they're fucking it up. They're not making anything. And that's the problem, you know? They could make something, but they're not because everybody's too thirsty or too hungry to try and get their name in there, get their hands in there and say that they're a part of this, what end up being a shitty thing. I don't know. I think they were over confident this time. Like, yeah, these kids eat this shit up anyway. We don't have to think. Just give them some shit. Give them a name card.
Yeah, I don't think they care. And they're going to make money with this next one because they're tying in a Chinese person as a main character. And you know that shit's going to fly high as fuck over there in China because that's how they're staying in business with these films.
China is here.
Yeah, it is definitely here now.
It's like, oh my God, they like us. They really like us.
Yeah, China is here now. I don't know, man. This movie was a mess. I feel like if you are going to watch it through alternative means. Do not pay money for this shit because we need to be able to send a message to these studios and tell them, like, I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. This is some bullshit. And that's for my older movie fans out there. Like, this shit has to stop. Like, honestly, who the fuck okayed this? You think about all the money. You have all these studios that are afraid to take a chance on a new IP. Yet this is what they do with Transformers that's literally tried and true and tested. 30 plus years of history and you can't make one good story? The first one is as close as it gets and even that's shit. But that's as close. That's the least offensive of the bunch, even though they killed off Jazz, which pissed me off greatly. But, like, you can't tell one good story. Not one. And there's been modern retellings in the comics that are fucking awesome that they could have used. You know what I mean? As the basis for this. That whole, what was it? Infiltration, devastation, and whatever else the last
Escalation.
Escalation.
And you could have let in the All Hail Megatron.
Yeah, that would have been
and
amazing.
Then the second movie, and then the fifth movie would have been us fighting back because the whole fourth movie would have been Megatron and the Decepticons just fucking taking over the whole planet. Man.
And then you can focus on your people if you want to because there's the EDF in there. And you can you can actually
Vicky and all of that.
Like, I don't understand. Like, if they just read the fucking comics, just read that shit.
You don't know. You don't even have to read the comics. Just read the Cliff's Notes. Read the goddamn Wikipedia page. Just one Wikipedia page.
Get the graphic
That's it.
novel or something.
No, but I'm saying, like, being that they're filmmakers and they're biting off of other stuff, bite off of the comics. They were designed so that if you do want, it's a visual Bible. If you want to make a movie of this, somebody did half the work for you by drawing.
Man, they did all of the work.
Yeah, literally. You know what I mean? All you have to do is look and then repeat what you see in some way in 3 dimensions. Hello? Yeah, I'm still here. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, sorry, you cut out on my end. That was weird.
Oh, yeah. All they have to do is create what they see, recreate what they're seeing on the page in 3 dimensions, and then it's good. But instead, we have this garbage, which doesn't make any damn sense.
Good review for any fucking Transformers movie.
I mean, it's the truth, though. I mean, there's just too much that they have that could help them make better shit, and it doesn't make sense to me that they just couldn't make better shit. It's like they let their egos get the better of them, and they're thinking, oh, it's this corny kids franchise that nerds like and all this shit, and then they're like, Michael Bay is like, we gotta have boobs and we gotta have cars, cool cars, because no one's gonna look at those old normal cars that they transform into. Completely missing.
Now, to be fair, G1 Transformers did include a Porsche rally car, an Indy car,
a couple Lamborghinis,
and a couple. I mean, fucking dude, a Countach Lamborghini. Shit, you didn't just see one of those rolling down the streets in Italy. So,
hey, but there was only 2 of them. That's it.
Yeah.
So, like I said, the difference is everything was still in moderation. Because in this, everybody turned into rare shit. Like, get the fuck out of here. Like,
I've never seen Optimus Prime's truck form
anywhere. I've been on mad road trips and never seen that shit ever.
Yeah, that's some shit somebody threw like $1 million into a truck to make it look like that.
I think
and you still have never seen that shit.
The real one didn't even sell for $1 million, which is crazy.
Because apparently we all forgot. Like, I mean, they didn't even listen to like the first two lines of the damn theme song, which is literally Transformers robots in disguise.
Exactly.
So if you're going to be again, that goes way, way back to the first movie. You got Bumblebee scanning a fucking at the time prototype Chevy Camaro. It's not in mass production yet. That just happens to be rolling down the street.
And no one questioned Sam about that. So where'd you get this car, boy? Huh?
Yeah, because you damn sure don't have registrations. The whole lot of shit that you can do, that ain't one of them.
Yeah.
You can't fake papers. So yeah, just go ahead and we throw that out there. And like you said, we throw what was Jazz? We used like a Pontiac Solstice. I want to say something like that. Again, a car of which there may have been single digits of.
Yeah.
Like so.
I did see that car a lot here in Columbus. Surprisingly,
which one?
I don't think it was because of the movie, the Pontiac Solstice.
Oh yeah, I think it was. It was all after the movie. I saw it around too. The Solstice, and I also saw is it called the Ray, the silver like hybrid. It looks like a Bullet. The fucking it's like a Corvette and something else. It's what Sideswipe turned into in the second movie when he was all silver.
Yeah, no, he turned into a Corvette.
It's called
I forgot which version
Is
that
it
was.
It's not a Stingray. It's got a new name to it. But anyway, I've seen that on the road a couple times. In the Easton area.
I've seen what's the name turned into. Ironhide. Which is just as imposing and ridiculous like when you see it on the road. Like, I don't even know what it's called. So yeah, that can be its name. Shit. I'm like, that truck is like friggin' 5,000 pounds bigger than it needs to be.
Yeah, I think I've seen it too.
Like, I don't know what you're doing unless you're friggin' towing like heavy machinery. Like, you don't need an everyday truck that big. But if that's what you got, more power to you. Ratchet was like, he was like a disaster relief type of ambulance. Like, he's like that truck you drive in after a flood or a hurricane or something. Because he was like a heavier duty, like, but still first aid. I'm like, no, like
you drive that shit into a war zone.
Exactly.
Yeah, this one is designed to kind of like, for rough terrain.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think that covers everybody in the first. And then now, the hell knows what the hell did Cross. Whatever. Who did the Aussie even turn into in this movie? I forget.
I don't remember. I know he before was like a
some sports car, or racing car.
It was a racing car. It was like a Euro racer or tuner type vehicle, which doesn't make sense given his personality.
Yeah,
I'm like, oh, he's an Australian car. No. But dude, they established that in the fourth movie too when they had fucking like the samurai bot, and he turned into an Italian sports car.
Yeah.
I'm like, are we just doing some sort of like Axis thing here, where like, hey, the Italians and the Japanese at one point?
They just don't care.
I'm like,
they clearly just don't give a fuck. That's what it is.
It's like, hey, Bugatti gave us a license. Who are we gonna get? We're gonna get a Japanese guy to voice that.
Oh, it was a Corvette Stingray. That's what he turns into. Yeah, I've seen that in real life.
You seen a Bugatti in real life? Nope.
Yeah, right. I don't think anybody can afford that shit around here.
Like, that car is like 7 or 8 figures, so more than likely.
I don't know. I've seen Bentleys here.
Really?
Yeah, like several times at the hospital, and I'm not just like generic ones. I'm talking
that
like
makes sense because it's
expensive ass.
Those are people who have money, though. That makes sense,
Yeah.
Talking about medical profession. But
so
still,
yeah, like they didn't. The movies didn't master the disguise thing. The source material tried harder, because like I said, there was also a legit a bug, and like you said, Optimus Prime looked like pretty much every other truck rolling on the roads in the 80s.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if they wanted to, if they really needed to have a human element in these movies, you could have easily did the infiltration story, because the story starts off with that dude named Hunter Onion, who's a conspiracy. I know that name is
Hunter Onion.
He's a conspiracy theorist who.
What your name is? Hunter Onion.
Hunter Onion.
Get out of here with that terrible shit.
It's like, no, seriously, what's your name?
I know, right? Stop playing with me, kid. It really is Hunter Onion. That's terrible.
It is. It's bad. But I like the story. You know, he could have been your the viewer's intro or the guide to this world or whatever, exactly. Where it's a conspiracy theory that the Transformers exist. They don't call them Transformers, but they're aliens. They're mechanical aliens or whatever. And there's been little things here and there on the internet, kind of like Bigfoot sightings and shit. And then you had the female. Her name was Verity, and she was a runaway who was, kind of like a scrappy survivor basically. And she pickpockets somebody's PDA that happens to be a person who was of high standing who got abducted by the Decepticons and replaced with basically a decoy, a pretender or whatever. Uh-huh. And it has all this information on it that basically would have blown the lid off of the existence of the Decepticons and the Transformers or whatever. And so when they find out that it's been stolen, they come after her. And this is how it's just a very cool, interesting way that I don't ever remember seeing in a Transformers comic of them introducing
it's evolution.
These characters.
It's evolution
and
of
plays
that
off
concept.
of the robots of the disguise part too.
It's just the evolution of the idea of these characters being here on Earth and organizations that will be created to deal with them or cover them up or capitalize off of using them to help in their own personal gain. Like, it's just, there are so many smarter ways to do this than what the films did. The films gave us the absolute dumbest resolution for all of this. Did you guys laugh at the scene when there's a part towards the end when they're all running up the hill and Optimus Prime is jogging like Baywatch and shit, and it just looks really weird? Did you guys see that? Like, towards the end, when they're like, the black dude is like, I brought the cavalry, and they're all meeting up, and you see the Autobots kind of running, and there was a lot of running.
Yeah.
And they transform into cars. Like, what's the deal with that?
I remember said that when I was watching it. I'm like, they need to get somewhere in a hurry. They can turn into cars.
Yeah, this is the second time. And if we look, I guess there's probably even more than just 2 times, because there was the whole sequence in the second movie with the battlefield, and they're like, you have to go all the way over there, and then dude runs and dies.
Yeah.
and they did
the running scene in slow motion, so you can see Megan Fox's tits bouncing up and down in slow-mo. I mean, they did it again in this new one with that young-ass little girl, and I was like, ew, no. Yeah. She had that low-cut shirt on, too. I was like, no. That's not right. Like, no, I don't want to see that. I'm not a pedophile, man. Fuck that shit. I want to see that shit.
I agree.
It's like, that can be regular speed, please.
Yeah, I know, right?
And put her in age-appropriate clothes.
Yeah, I mean,
she's on the streets. That's all she got.
It's not even the clothes, though, because the clothes when she's standing still are fine. It's the fact that they were like, let's have a steady shot, or, a straight-up full shot of her running, and she's sweating and, like, boobs jumping around as she runs, and it's like, up until that shot, most of us weren't even, like, remotely thinking what he's thinking behind the camera. And there's no need for you to present her in that kind of way, just none whatsoever. So, yeah, fail on their part for that. Yeah, I don't know what it is with Michael Bay. I honestly don't know. I don't understand why. It's like he is depraved or something, for lack of a better term, because you don't need to do that with everything. You could, I don't know, it's like, he really needs...
Everything is his fetish.
Yeah, man. It's just not... It's not cool.
There's a couple scenes as I was watching it, they reminded me of stuff lifted or borrowed from other scenes. Not to mention the fact that, like you said, the clip of them coming out of the water with the gun drawn, they also recycled the let's jump off of something and... the Halo jump again. They did that shit.
Yeah.
God, but damn it. There was a couple of the scenes. I'm like, God damn it, you lifted this like right from another movie, and I had the other movie in my head.
What, The
There's
Rock?
probably more that.
The Rock? Because there was a lot of stuff that felt like he took from The Rock, and that's his own shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So now he's gotten to the point where he's cannibalizing himself.
Yeah.
Yep,
with the airstrikes and stuff, and then all the chatter when they're flying towards that objective to bomb it to make it swing into the whatever that source was that they thought would deactivate it once it got knocked off course, but it didn't. And
science.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I know, right? It was
Go there and hit this, and it should stop. Except it didn't, and now nothing.
Exactly. It just was. Ugh. I don't know, man. What did you like? Was there anything that you guys liked? Anything you thought that was remotely cool? Because we have bashed the living hell out of this movie.
Like I said, that one scene, if it had been like, I would straight rip that scene and put it in something else with the part where Bumblebee was coming back together,
Yeah.
and what's his name? Cade was hitting somebody with the door of Bumblebee, and then he kind of dips as the leg comes around.
Yeah.
Like, if Iron Man had did that shit, because that's the only thing I can think of offhand, where he has the armors that are remote controlled and they're modular and they can act independently of themselves and shit, I'd be like, all right. But once again, it's all been established. Like,
the armor can do this.
It just didn't come out of nowhere that all of a sudden Iron Man's armor can do that shit like they did in Civil War with like downloading Captain America's fight data.
I know, Tony, you can't beat him in hand to hand. I'm like, obviously, he's Captain America. He's got like how much time has he was fighting wars before when Tony was a gleam, literally, in his father's eye. And now you're going to just say, after no training, no nothing, that now he can fight on Cap's level because his suit said so? The fuck out of here. That was dumb.
All you got to do, because you got the program in there. It's like, great, now I can fight.
Yeah, but I mean, at least in Iron Man 3, you saw him working on the suit, and he didn't quite iron out all the quirks and glitches.
That was a different suit, though.
But then in Homecoming, he had the suit. He wasn't even in the goddamn thing.
Yeah.
He was across the world. He's in India and operating the suit now. So now it's like, all right, he figured it all out. So if you saw him do that shit, it would make sense.
Yeah.
But that's really it. Maybe some of the chase scene in England. I mean, that was okay.
Yeah.
That's kind of it. I got really nothing else. I hated everything else.
Yeah, I'm trying to I like the end when they were flying around in the Ospreys. I mean, it was just chaos. Like most of the time, and I'll admit, even though I was starting to pay attention, like, oh my god, what the hell? I was kind of feeling the craziness. It's still, there were too many characters whom I had no idea who they were. Like, it seemed like more Ospreys showed up just to get killed.
Yeah.
Like, who were those guys? And why? There was, like, the Ospreys that had the quad rotors, and then there were the Ospreys that just had the dual rotors like they usually have. And I'm like, so wouldn't the ones that have the quad rotors, being that they're more of a futuristic design, I don't think those are the ones, because, Ospreys, they don't use those in the actual military. They use them more in films than they do in real life.
Like the F-22s. No, F-22s have had real flight time.
Yeah.
They have had a lot of flight time in Michael Bay movies, though.
Yeah, I know, right? But, I'm thinking like the upgraded one would do more than the whatever. But, the whole time I was watching that sequence, and I'm like, this is like G.I. Joe versus Transformers. Like,
Yeah,
I don't
or fucking
understand.
Contra.
Yeah, it's not good enough.
Oh.
Well, because Contra, even as a game, Contra has a very clear objective. Like, this thing is trying to kill you. Now you have to go through hell to stop it from killing you. You know what I mean? And, like, these are your clear limitations, because you're the human, and this is the big robot, alien, monster, whatever, or even when you're, like, jumping on missiles and stuff. It's real specific what you're trying to do. So, this was kind of like, I was still kind of like, what are they actually trying to do? I know they're trying to get to a place, but what are they actually trying to do? Oh, they're trying to destroy that thing that popped up out of the ground. The control spire thing that popped up out of the ground. I'm like, oh, okay, I guess, you know, whatever.
It's their take on the Skybeam action staple of this decade.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah,
Oh.
So
superhero movie.
yeah, so it wasn't exactly a beam. It was something slightly different.
Yeah.
I don't know.
can forgive it in Homecoming though, because I enjoyed all that shit. I enjoyed the whole big sky spectacle of that movie.
Which movie?
In Spider-Man: Homecoming.
Oh yeah, that was all right. I don't know, that movie, man. It's like, I thought about it the other day. God, now we're jumping into a whole different movie. I guess it isn't off our brains, so whatever. I was thinking about that movie the other day, and it was just like what Robin said in Young Justice. I was whelmed.
Oh yeah. Overall, yeah.
Well,
I just,
but not over.
I felt like the situation. It felt more. The setup felt more. It felt more like, I guess, natural for the story, whereas like in Suicide Squad, it was just like big lighty special effecty thing that you've seen in the other superhero films, which I'm not as hung up about it as other people have been. Like other reviews I've heard where people are kind of getting tired of that same spectacle because it feels it's part of the formula. But I'm like, I watch kung fu movies, and at the end of every kung fu movie, there's a big fight. Like that's what I'm there to see.
Yeah, but that's too general.
I'm there to see that big fight at the end of the
That's way
superhero
too general. Saying there's a big fight at the end of a kung fu movie, that's like, are you trying to say all the fights are the same?
No, I'm not saying they're all the same. I'm saying that I'm there to see what this particular fight is.
The complaint,
most kung fu movies are building toward that anyway.
Yeah,
and
no.
So I'm okay with them doing that.
Well, listen, what I'm saying.
Superhero movies are technically building toward, a showdown between like the protagonist and the antagonist.
Yeah.
But when the background stage, if this is a fighting game,
exactly,
it's
the exact same
exactly the same.
Yeah,
that's when you notice it, and you're just like,
like why would the end climactic battle look exactly the same in Ghostbusters, as it does in like, I don't know, Guardians of the Galaxy or something? You know what I'm saying? Like there should be no similarities with the exact same construct. Why would Suicide Squad and Ghostbusters have the same end stage? The same end, the final third is the same. You know what I mean? Like, there's no reason for that. It's a lack of imagination.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that. It's just, I feel like a lot of people are putting every single movie under that umbrella. And I'm like, no, there's differences. Like if you have the Vulture, you have to go in the air. That's the Vulture stick,
No, I
so
get that.
if you're going to get mad at that, like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, why would you want to watch the Vulture fighting Spider-Man on the ground? That's just going to be boring.
I get that, and I wouldn't want that either. I'm just saying, like, it doesn't feel like anything different enough happened to warrant this is the best Spider-Man movie ever.
Oh, no, I'm not saying that at all.
Like the action in The Amazing Spider-Man, if we're being real, the action in The Amazing Spider-Man was like 1,000 times better than the shit in this movie. Because he was acting like Spider-Man. He wasn't a kid that was kind of, sort of Spider-Man. No, he was Spider-Man. He was dodging shit, and I could imagine it as a double-page spread, like that slow-mo shot when Electro kind of like busted through those two spires and he's like swinging right past him. Like he had just flipped off of one. Man, there was so much well-framed, awesomely choreographed or blocked out action that like...
Or even when he was fighting homie in the Goblin in the bell tower and he was shooting webs and he'd miss, but then he'd be using the web lines to swing off and hit him in different directions and just come at him from different angles. I was
creative.
Like, that's the Spider-Man I want to see.
It was creative, and people just were like, they were on like this hate-filled rampage. Everything, all garbage. The whole movie's garbage. I hate it. It's terrible because Sony was trying to sell me stuff, and I could tell. Yeah, but all the movies are trying to sell you shit because they're not from Marvel. Like, if they're from Marvel, they're going to give you some genuine, you would think, they would give you some genuine, you know, moments of imagination and such, you know what I mean? Instead, it's Sony that gave us more of that than fucking Marvel did. And I feel
and plus those end fights weren't those generic in the sky, big special effectsy light show. Yeah. Like, they actually were doing something.
Hell yeah. Like, the end of Amazing Spider-Man still gets me, even though I know exactly what... I mean, she hit her head and neck, so it was just so, like, pop! Like, there's no way you can not see it and be like, ugh. You know? I mean, I guess if you're a soulless fuck like so many of the people who want to say something online, I guess you're so hardcore that you didn't feel anything, you know? You watched the movie.
Like a dude at my job asked me, like, what is a scene that really stands out to you in all these superhero films? And I was like, yeah, that scene, because no matter who you show it to, it completely engages that person when they're watching it. Like, there was that day we were talking about stuff, and Mrs. Strident was talking with us, and then when that scene came on, her whole focus was into that scene, like shit could have been blowing up around us, but she was on that shit. And every time I watch it, you're like, oh my God, save her, save her, save her. And then even though you know it's not going to happen, you still wish it would happen. That shit was nice. Like, I don't know how anybody can sit there and have a problem with that.
It was easily the best. It's probably the best thing in the film. I mean, like, if you're going to diss Electro all you want, whatever, everyone hates him because he's not... If he was the same character played by a white guy, I guess he would have got more love or something. Because, you know, Jamie Foxx couldn't possibly play this role. So everyone's like, he changed evil to... He already was fucked up. Like, the movie clearly showed you him talking. He had a full-on conversation with himself and Spider-Man played by him.
Yeah.
Like, that's not normal. So the transformation didn't really have much to do. All you had to do was push him. It's like everyone buys the Joker's bullshit about you're one bad day from being him. But then they give you a illustration of that shit, and everybody's like, it was too fast. He couldn't do that. It's fake. It's too
not
fast.
Enough development.
Yeah, not enough character development. They did all the development for you off the bat. Like, before you even... Like, there's no way you can misunderstand that characterization.
There's no new info that you needed.
Yeah, he's the nerd. He's underappreciated. He has mental health issues. Done. Is fucking done. What else do you need them to do? Show you how he got mental health issues? He is born that way.
Show him trying to get help, but the help not working. And more denials and more like failed.
Yeah, all that shit is not necessary.
Beat the dead horse. It's called shorthand.
We just have like a 15 to 20 minute subplot on, like, you know, his relationship with a therapist. That'd be great.
It's fucking shorthand. The whole point of these things in movies is to show people things in a condensed, you know, amount of time. Just like quickly give them the most information possible, and they did it. They told you he's brilliant but underappreciated, and he has a complex, and he has mental health issues. So it's not going to take much to turn him into a fucking supervillain. You just need to give him the powers. And that's literally what happened. And people are like, character development, like, shut up.
Same thing with Harry Osborn. He's a kid who was abandoned by his dad because his dad was focused more on finding a cure for himself than being a father.
Exactly.
Like, I don't need to know any more than that.
Exactly.
I know a kid named Alexander who had that same issue too. Luthor. Luthor. I think that was his same problem. Dad wasn't around, so.
Yep, he kind of went nuts. And then what's funny too is, like, I can get behind the complaint that they kind of shoehorned the Goblin in. Okay, fine, that's cool. They did shoehorn the Goblin in. But then, so in Homecoming, they set up your thugs, and it was like a bunch of thugs working together. Like, they literally gave you the history, a condensed history of the Shocker.
And the Tinkerer.
Well, they didn't give you his history. But remember the Shocker in Spectacular Spider-Man, he was Montana. Remember? It wasn't. What's the guy's name? Schultz, Herman Schultz. It was Montana, one of the three thugs that were hired by the Kingpin to. I think it was the Kingpin or Hammerhead to deal with Spider-Man. And so the white guy was Montana, and then the black guy was Herman Schultz. So literally, they just gave you the legacy of the character with two characters side by side. I'll be right back. You can talk.
Yeah, I still need to see that too. So,
yeah, I mean, it's good. Like they nail the high school shit like down pat. Like it's the best in any of the films, and I liked Amazing Spider-Man. Like everybody felt like, oh, he's too cool or he's too good looking in the Amazing Spider-Man movies. But I'm like, if you read the Ultimate Comics, which that movie was kind of based more on those than traditional 616 Spider-Man, he wasn't an ugly dude. He was a nerd because he was smart, but he didn't wear the glasses. He had his hair. He wore his hair like he took care of himself, and he dressed well.
Because as we all know, anyone who wears glasses just instantly. You're instantly ugly nerd. Like, oh my god! Oh,
he didn't fit that stereotypical nerd look, and because it was an update for if Spider-Man existed now, or in the 2000s or whatever. He had a job at the Daily Bugle, but it wasn't taking pictures. It was working on the Daily Bugle website. Like everything was updated. So for people to get mad that he didn't look like traditional 616 Peter Parker, it's like, well, that's because you want that version, but this is still Peter Parker. It's based off of a different set of comics that you guys like anyway, because as soon as they killed him off and brought in Miles Morales, you guys are screaming fucking bloody murder.
Their heads would have exploded if this movie had been about Miles Morales.
I knew they weren't going to do it. When Marvel was teasing that other dude, I forgot his name, but that black dude, when he was in the quote unquote in the running.
Not Donald Glover.
No, it was another guy.
It was somebody. Yeah, I know who you're talking about. I remember that week or two where it was like, wait, what?
Yeah, where it was like, oh, he could be playing Spider-Man. I was like, no, he's not. Y'all are just throwing that out there as misdirection. He's not going to be Spider-Man, because I know they're not going to do Miles Morales, because the fan base, even though you have a lot of people who like the character, it's still not popular enough for them to be like, yeah, we need to do a movie of this. Even though if they promoted it, if they did it, it would get that fan base. Because, look at Black Panther, that right there, if all the other Marvel characters who were B and C list characters weren't proof enough that they could be headlining, like, now you have Black Panther as like solid proof, because nobody gave a fuck about Black Panther until Civil War, unless they were already fans of the character. Now everyone wants to see this fucking movie.
Yeah.
So
now, part of me sitting there thinking, I'm like, Sony should do Miles Morales, but only Disney could really get away with it, because, like you said, if Sony does it, and if for some reason or another it doesn't hit, well, for one, I think that would just completely bury Miles Morales in the cinematic universe.
Yeah, I don't think they can, though. I don't think Sony can. I don't think Sony has the rights to it.
Just Peter Parker Spider-Man.
Yeah, and all of Peter Parker's enemies, even though they straight up the character Ned in the movie.
Yes.
That's straight up Genki from the Ultimate Comics Spider-Man. When Miles takes over, he has a best friend who's Japanese American, and he's heavy set, and he's a nerd, and he's like everything you'll see Ned do. That's all this character Genki, even down to the Legos, because the guy plays with Legos. Only in the comics, he would take the Legos and he would sculpt his own creations out of them. But the whole thing with him helping him with his powers and helping him cope with being Spider-Man, that's all taken from barring Michael Bendis and his writing of Miles Morales in the comics. Like all of it is crazy. Even his because this Spider-Man isn't perfect. He's really rough around the edges when it comes to like the superhero thing. And right now in the comics, I've been reading the Spider-Man, because Miles Morales got the Spider-Man title comic or whatever, and he's rough around the edges in the comic too. Like he's doing the superhero thing, but he's doing a bad job of like maintaining his secret identity and trying to protect those closest to him and stuff like that. Like, and balancing his life between school and being a superhero. Yeah, I was just talking about how they borrowed so much from that character in Homecoming. Like, it's not even fucking funny.
Yeah, they did. And it's funny because none of the reviews they only point out Genki, but they don't really go into detail about the other stuff.
Because that's like work. But she doesn't know. She doesn't know
I've actually read the comic.
He doesn't know about comics, and nobody gives a shit about comics, just comics movies.
Yeah.
That's true. That's how it seems these days. But, yeah.
It used to kind of be like one hand, like feeding the other. Like, the movies would drum up interest in, like, comics and then raise their profile, and then they'd have more books, maybe better books, and would help keep the demand going until the next movie comes out. But, no, screw that shit.
But that's Marvel's fault. They've been dropping the ball with their comics. I mean, they don't they don't even push their comics the way they used to. There was a point in time where they would actually make stories that were separate from the films, and that was the focus all across the board. Now they're trying so hard to tie in the look and the feel and the whatever inspiration from the movies into their comics. And it's like you've just alienated all your comic book readers because they don't give a shit about... They like having movies, but they know that the comics are where the real stories come from.
That and their events. Like, they really need to take a back seat with that shit.
I agree.
Civil War II did not need to be a thing.
God. You think,
like... It's just... That more than likely just came out because they were going to try to, like, float it for a movie.
That's exactly what happened.
I hope not. Because that shit... Yeah, they need to bury that.
That's exactly what happened. And what they need to do is freaking... You'd think by now, like, some cosmic entity would have been like, dude, you guys... Like, Galactus would be like, you done fucked up. It's time to eat your planet. You screwed up. You fighting amongst... The superheroes can't even get along. You guys need to be done. We can start all over in another timeline or something. Like...
No.
Like, Tony Stark. Like, I don't know how anybody is a fan of Tony Stark. Dude is
that was my other gripe with that movie is Tony. Like, okay, if they wanted him to be, if they wanted him to take Nick Fury's role because they originally were gonna have Nick Fury be the guide for Peter Parker, kind of like in the Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon. So Shield would give him the upgrades to his suit and kind of mentor him. But instead they threw Tony in there. But, like, Peter did a whole lot... Like, in the comics, he did a whole lot of shit on his own. Like, he created his web shooters. He created, different formulas for his webbing. He created the spider tracers. In this, it was, like, all Tony.
Yeah.
Like, Tony did everything. He even coined
the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Yeah.
I was like, fuck you, man. Come on. Like, give Peter something.
Yeah.
Like, let him shine in his own way, or that's when I was like, yeah, I'm sick and tired of fucking Tony Stark now, because everything revolves around him. And I get it. The whole MCU started because of Iron Man. That's fine.
See, that kind of logic needs to stop. Because, like, that's why we get
No,
X-Men
I'm saying
movies.
I understand what they're doing, but I don't agree with that shit.
No, I agree. I know where you're going.
Should need to come into their own.
Yeah, that's the problem with the way that the films are handled. That's why we had X-Men movies where Wolverine was the leader of the X-Men. What the fuck? Like, that doesn't even make sense. Wolverine works best when he can go out on his own and do his own thing. You can't do that when you're the leader. When you're the leader. Because you've just kind of asked out your team. What happens when your team needs you? I don't know. I'm out doing my own thing. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's not how it works. That's why we get, you know, movie posters for Ninja Turtles where Raphael is the one in front, or he gets more, you know, screen time than the others. You know, it's like, it doesn't matter who's more popular when the dynamics are already ironed out within that universe. Yeah. So, I'm right there with you. I need to stop. Like, just because Iron Man got popular because of his film, it doesn't change the fact that Cap is the leader. It doesn't change the fact that Cap's movies did better. It doesn't change the fact that, like, Iron Man 3 was garbage. I don't care if it sold a whole bunch. The movie itself was not fun. There were aspects of it that were, but the kid and all these dumb things and the shifts in tone and Tony Stark doing his bootleg Born Supremacy type bullshit, like, no, you don't get to do that. Like, and then they just act like, oh no, that didn't happen. You know, he's perfect. Iron Man 2 was garbage. It was too many threads that didn't go anywhere, you know? And they want to act like, oh, because they made all this money, Tony Stark should be the one that we push front and center. No! Push Captain America. You know what I mean?
I really would have wanted to have seen Nick Fury. I want to see how different of a movie it would have been with him in Tony Stark's place.
Oh, okay. Well, it would have been just like the cartoon.
True.
I hate that fucking cartoon.
That cartoon is my guilty pleasure.
That's why they didn't want to do it. So they just went ahead and did, you know, figured let's put Tony Stark in here again. Everybody loves Tony Stark.
Yeah, I don't know. It just felt like, while the movie was good, I'm sick of teenage Peter Parker. Mm-hmm. That was before Ultimate Spider-Man. That was such a small moment of his life. It was like 3 years. It's supposed to. You have blood in there.
That's what I almost kind of wish they had done. If it was just, okay, you're going to do, like I said, doing the high school thing, again, you knew they were going to do it right, so it was going to come out good.
Yeah.
At least. But I'm like, just, if this is your only real shot at Spider-Man, then, like you said, do the 20 to 25-year-old Spider-Man, like out of school, out of college, has a job, has got some of those things that he was dealing with as a teenager under control, but naturally there's still a lot on his plate.
Yeah, I mean, like when he was a substitute teacher and shit, or like the ones when he was in college and like he hadn't learned how to drive. When he like crashed, he crashed his car and shit. Like all that stuff would have been awesome. Have him have a friend named, you know, put Johnny Storm in there and just call him Johnny, and don't actually go into all the Fantastic Four stuff. Have it just be one of his homeboys, you know, that he talks to, and that they have a competitive kind of relationship. All that shit should have been there. We're never going to get to it because he's perpetually a teenager. I don't know. That's why I think the movie was just it was good. That's it. I want to see, I guess, what they do next in the next couple of years. That will do the thing for me. Even the way he used his powers, some of it was really awesome. Like when he was swinging around trying to pull the two things together, the two sides of the ferry. That was
it was
cool.
So much better than Amazing Spider-Man. It was it was like, what do spiders do in real life and how do we incorporate that into the movie?
Yeah.
Like, I loved all of that. Like, the whole spinning the web and just sitting in the middle of it and feeling the vibration.
Yeah.
Even little things like when he was in his basement working on shit and he'd be asleep, like, in the skylight.
Yeah.
Like, against the wall or up against the shit. Like, all that shit. Or when he fought the lizard and he webbed the lizard up like a spider would web up like its prey after it catches it. Like, all those little things were just like so much awesome compared to just let's make, like, even the stuff in the Homecoming, that part was cool. Yeah. But to me, it doesn't hold a candle to all that other shit I saw in Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2.
Yeah, and it's funny because people, like I said, they're not even trying to look at those films from like as an entire thing and give props to the parts that work and then, you know, take away points for the shit that didn't work. Because I hear people do that with the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies, and I'm like, why is it that people have hate for that movie? The only thing missing from that movie is Spider-Man's mouth. Like, he doesn't have the fucking burns that he had in the comics. Tobey Maguire just seemed, I mean, I guess that's just him. He's just stiff. Like, even his delivery when he did say some of the smart stuff, little quippy things, he said it in a kind of stilted kind of way.
Like deadpan kind of.
Yeah.
It was not even deadpan. It just didn't have the... It didn't feel natural. You know? It's lights out. Like, if it's lights out for someone, it's lights out for you, Gabi. Like, really? And it was better in the video game. I think he wasn't, because he wasn't physically there, he could focus on the dialogue. But because the video game was all quips. The whole time you're fighting, he was shooting, just firing them off, which was awesome because that's Spider-Man. He does it because he's nervous. You never got that in the game.
Yeah.
I mean, in the movie.
In the movie.
But that's my only gripe. I like the other stuff. I mean, like, there are stupid things, like in Spider-Man 2, like how Doc Ock, actually, I thought about this, but someone said it on the Double Toasted, their podcast or review show, whatever. What's his name? The older dude. What's his name?
Martin.
He was like, why is it that after the, Dr. Octopus's experiment failed, when he came back, he got back his faculties and shit, he had the arms, and he's stealing money. He's like, what's he stealing money for? What's he going to do? Open an account and then rebuy all that stuff legally and then redo the whole experiment? Why don't he just steal the shit that he needed? I'm like, yeah, that would have made a lot more sense.
Yeah, I would have.
Or like, he was, what else did he point out? He pointed out a bunch of stuff. I was just like, wow, that's actually true. That would have made more sense.
But for some reason, he likes Spider-Man 3, and I'm like, nah, man.
Well, he said that it's very much like the presentation in the comics, which I can give him that. Just that. The movie's still wah, wah. All I have to say is, I'm not a bad person. No. You can't redeem yourself for all the evil you did by telling people you're not a bad person. Because guess what? You are a bad person.
I never wanted to hurt anybody. No, you just wanted to rob a bunch of people.
I know, you just carjacked someone. That's like a lot of premeditation right there. Like, car, person, you have a weapon, shoot the person, get in the car, drive it away, no remorse.
No, I didn't want to shoot him. I just wanted to scare him.
Yeah, because the old man was putting up so much of a fight. The man looked like he was dying on set. Just like most of the old men in these movies, and you had to shoot him to steal his car. Yeah, I think that part's stupid and it's irredeemable. Or the, hey, how you doing, buddy? We'll work together, buddy. Like, get the fuck out of here with that amnesia. Nope.
Peter.
I always laugh in Spider-Man 2 after Doc Ock's initial experiment fails, and you see James Franco turn to the camera, and he's like, something, I'm finished, there's only Spider-Man now.
Oh, yeah, I'm ruined, I've got nothing.
Yeah.
There's only Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But it's funny because that stuff was played up that way. Like,
yeah, on purpose.
Like, that's why
on purpose. It's funny, but it works in the context of that film.
Because you've read those lines in comics
with
Harry Osborn before.
That's why I laugh when Willem Dafoe is like, he's talking to himself in the mirror, and he's like, I can't. His body just small, outlive.
You've always been weak, Osborn. Yeah. But I can't.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was awesome. Yeah,
like, give that man an Oscar.
Yeah, he's awesome. All the crap about his costume, it doesn't matter. That was what we had to get because they couldn't afford or they were too afraid of doing the one with the expressions.
Yeah.
But the one with the expressions, the animatronic face, was fucking amazing.
Yeah, it was fucking freaky.
Yeah. I wonder if someone did say that it freaked them out too much for them to work on it.
I mean, that's what you want, though. Like, he's a goblin. Like, he's not supposed to look like he's gonna give you candy. He's look like he's gonna fucking steal your soul. Like,
not supposed to make you feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. But yeah, Homecoming was good. I don't think it was mind blowing, so I think people need to sit down somewhere with all that. It's the greatest Spider-Man.
That hype when they saw him in Civil War, and I was like, yeah, he didn't even steal the show in that. Like, that was Black Panther all day.
Black Panther all day, every day. But yeah, the Transformers was garbage. You guys should save your money. Don't even bother.
I also can't think of one. Maybe, like you said, I'm with you, Agent O. Maybe some of the chase scenes were good. Nothing that involved anyone talking was worthwhile.
Yeah.
So if you can just eliminate any scene with dialogue, which probably still cuts the movie down to about maybe 45 minutes. I don't know.
I'm sick.
Some of the action in the last part was good, but nothing where I'm like watching it and get done like, wow, that was amazing. Like, oh,
you'll forget about this movie in like a day.
Yeah.
The movie should have been called Transformers 5: Sliding. People were sliding around all the time. Yes. I'm like, oh my god, everybody's sliding on their knees or sliding on their back under somebody's legs or sliding as they shoot something. Or it was that was like a video game. Like, hey, you've unlocked the slide. Like come on,
slide.
Like there's your Contra reference right there, is having the slide attack. But oh
yeah, there's that part when the drones were after them, and the one black dude got shot in the chest, and he goes through the wall.
Yeah.
And dude, he thought he was dying, and he was like, and Cage was like, "Oh, you got shot with a beanbag gun." No, I was like, that would have killed him. Like, beanbag guns out of shotguns have killed people. That shit would have killed him.
Yeah.
He got shot through the wall.
I know they're called non-lethals, but if you shoot someone with it from, let's say, point-blank range, which homeboy got shot from, plus it hit him hard enough to where he legit flew through the wall, he probably should have been dead.
Yeah.
Or at least mildly retarded. Like, you know what I mean? Like serious brain damage.
Some internal bleeding, maybe. If it hit him in the chest, it's like, it should have cracked a few ribs.
But then again, it is a cartoon. I mean, like, if Fast and Furious is a cartoon, and that's literally...
They killed Lucas.
Huh?
They killed Lucas. Didn't give a damn about that.
Oh my god, he got incinerated.
He's freaking, legit.
Like, that was like Wile E. Coyote, except there ain't no coming back.
He got Pompeyed.
There ain't no coming back, man.
And I halfway thought that, like, friggin' Sniper Face was gonna just, like, drift into him and just shatter him.
I know, right?
Just blow his ass away.
Gunface.
Because he was creeping in all slow after they left. I'm like, he's about to run him over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. It's a mess. I think, like, if you are a fan of that universe, then you probably won't notice anything because all the other flaws have gone over your head thus far anyway. But if you pay attention to films that you watch and you listen to the dialogue and you pay attention to the plot threads because you want to see the payoff, you're going to be pissed. Oh my god, you're going to be pissed because, like, nothing makes sense.
There was a time when I did laugh a little bit when Anthony Hopkins was going through the story. And all of a sudden the music hit, and then it turned out that it was Cogman playing the music, and then I'm like, that's kind of funny. Not when he yelled at him, because that shit just sounded kind of weird.
Yeah.
But you just look up, and all of a sudden it's like friggin' like him just like going nuts on the organ. I'm like, okay, that's funny.
Yeah, that was kind of funny.
I almost laughed until Anthony Hopkins started talking. And then I was like, you just had to remind me why I hate this movie.
Yeah, the movie.
And again, another thing where I could see if part of it was they didn't want to have it literally be Optimus Prime versus Decepticon versus Megatron for 5 movies. So you build up these other things.
But that's the thing.
But,
we barely got that if you think about it.
Megatron's never had like a really good chance to like actually flesh out a plan and have it not work and all that shit. I'm like, we had 5 movies, and he was barely a bit player in the 4th one. He was not the main bad guy in the 3rd one. The second one, truth be told, the second one I've never sat all the way through, and I don't give a shit.
I don't think he was hardly in the movie. He was playing like a Sith apprentice or some shit in that, because all he did was repeat shit from Star Wars. Like, it was annoying.
No, that's the 3rd one.
No, that's the 2nd one. He was talking to
the second one was the Fallen.
Yeah,
second one was Revenge of the Fallen. So I imagine the Fallen was more the Fallen. The fact that motherfucker's name is actually the Fallen.
Yeah, he actually flies to Cybertron or wherever the hell the dude is, and kneels down in front of him and says, "What is thy bidding, my master?" I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, you think like stuff like that becomes kind of iconic, you find another way to say it, so you don't just dig into that territory. But not Bayformers. Oh no.
That's why I struggle.
Nothing is sacred.
I struggle to think that I struggle to say that these movies were actually written. I'm like, they were just kind of cobbled together from like not even other better stories. Like, no, like just other stories.
They had a list of things they wanted to see on screen, and they just threw them together in the film. That's what happened.
It's like, yeah, but
DNA, explosions, big special effects robots.
I know, high heel shoes. Women in high heels. I don't know. It's just not cool. It's too much. It's like, it's strange because like I heard people diss the reboot for Power Rangers, the film, but like all the things that we hate that are in these movies, that film got right. It spent 2 acts solidifying your characters, developing the characters so you know who they are with powers, but not in the costumes. So this way, when you do see them in costume, you totally know whose personality is who. Someone at work was like, the movie was garbage. It was garbage. I was like, what was garbage? Because compared to the fucking TV show, that was Shakespeare.
Hell yeah.
And I'm like, and if you didn't grow up watching the TV show, then no one gives a shit what your perspective is on this movie, because you're not the target audience. Nobody cares. If you didn't like it, you probably didn't get the references to like, places like Mariner Bay, or like, you didn't get what a Zeo crystal was. Like, you didn't know what any of that shit was because you're not indoctrinated, so to speak. You know what I mean? Like the shit's not in your subconscious from watching it every day after school. You know what I mean? As a youth. So of course,
the movie is basically everything you've seen in the Power Ranger shows, just minus all the shit you hated about them.
It's the whole thing with a budget and with some sense. I mean, like, the redesign, like, literally, this is how they should have done it from the beginning, because the story in the when I'm finished, we'll talk. The story in Saban's Power Rangers is completely different from Zoo Ranger. And if they were going to do an adaptation, I feel like so much from the suits to the monsters to everything should have been redone from scratch to better differentiate from the Japanese counterpart. But they were too lazy. He wanted to make maximum money with minimum effort. So all he did was reshoot the parts where they're out of the costume and just reuse all the other footage, even though it didn't match. So, like, now that they're doing it all from scratch, you get to see, like, the Zoo Ranger was high fantasy with some tech thrown in, whereas Mighty Morphin Power Rangers is all alien tech and superheroes and shit. You know what I mean? So it's like 2 completely different things, and they did it right. You gave a shit by the end of the movie. When the twist happens, there's a thing that happens that you don't see coming. And when it happens, you feel it, because you spent all this time getting used to everybody, and you're just like, holy shit, they actually went there? Like, what the fuck? I'm not giving it away. I mean, by now, everybody who wanted to see it saw it. So, whatever. But there's a part where Rita gets something off, and you're just like, holy shit, she actually did something that never happens in Power Rangers.
Yeah.
Like they'll take gunfire point blank range, you know, from like a robot, a giant robot or something, and you just get sparks and they fall down and they power down and that's it. This kid got murked. She just murked him. Like, nope. She said she was gonna do it, and then she did it. And you're like, wow, they actually did this. So, and I mean, you knew it wasn't gonna be like a final type thing, but you kind of guessed for a while because the movie plays things so seriously that you don't know, like, maybe that could be it, and they'll have to find someone else. You know what I'm saying? Like,
plus she was genuinely like
evil,
a threat in a lot of earlier parts leading up to that.
Oh,
so
yeah.
It fit.
Yeah. So, like, I don't get it. People hating on that series just because it's Power Rangers, but then, like, just the basic storytelling elements that you want in a story and all the shit you hear these fake-ass online reviewers constantly repeating. Character development, jarring editing. You know, I don't want the editing to be so jarring. I don't want. I want to be able to see all the action. Everything they complain about was done right in this film, and people still tried to kind of diss it. You know, it's okay. It's not that great, but it's okay. No, it's like 100% better than what the source material was. You know,
I guarantee you, if they did the fucking grimdark fan-made video, they'd be all just in their pants. And I really would not have wanted to see a whole movie of that.
It works as a short.
Yeah.
But a whole movie that's like super ridiculously serious like that with
yeah,
get out of here. That's pretty stupid. With fucking Rangers doing lines of cocaine off of hot chicks' bellies and shit. Like, no, come on. Like, that's clearly a joke that someone, like, you know, Adi Shankar and them were making jokes about shit that those guys did. Because they probably did that shit in real life. Because they were making so much money as, like, you know, 18, 19-year-olds and shit, you know? So, like, yeah.
So naturally, they went back to their neighborhoods and, you know, like, you know, rebuild schools and, you know, build parks.
Get out of here.
They did responsible things with their money.
Yeah.
What are you trying to? What's this agenda you're trying to push about young people and success, man? Come on now.
But yeah, man, like Transformers does everything wrong. Everything. The visuals, you can tell they were expensive, but everything else is just not there.
And that's the sad. And we still have. Well, I still have design issues. I also don't like how robots just like somebody again just changed forms in mid-movie, and if it's that easy to friggin' change forms, like the Hot Rod was that fucking old-ass British car, and all of a sudden, then scan the friggin' like, you know, Lamborghini or whatever the hell it was. I'm like, then why does anybody have a steady form if they can just run by something and just change?
Exactly. Or why don't they just change? Okay, if they're going to start off as something flashy, once they learn the rules of the road, essentially, why don't they turn into their actual alt modes that we recognize?
Yeah.
Why is it we're 5 movies in and Bumblebee still don't turn into the right thing? He's not even the right size. Why are we 5 movies in and like none of the cast turns into the right things except for Optimus turning into some kind of big rig? Like, it just doesn't make sense. Where does trailer go? That trailer was one of the best designs in the films, period. Remember how his trailer, it would transform into that ring with all the weapons and shit around it?
Yeah.
That was one of the best things I've ever seen in that series as far as, like, modifications to a thing that already existed. And they never brought that back. I'm like, wouldn't it have made more sense instead of just generically giving him a sword and, like, getting rid of the ion cannon? And, like, nothing about these guys is the Transformers that we grew up watching, reading, collecting. It's like a whole different thing, and it shouldn't be because it says Transformers. Now, if this was GoBots, I'd be like, this is dope. If this was GoBots, I'd be like, finally, they have an identity. But Transformers has a very, very specific identity. It's very clean, clear-cut to the point where you could have third parties and Hasbro and Takara and all of them making figures that all pay tribute to the same shit, and we all get it. How is it that these films can't do it? And I don't understand why they're so accepted for doing everything badly. Like, their suits, their designs look like rubber suits. Like, everybody's so humanoid, what's the point? You know what I mean? Like, there's a handful of them that walk on all fours or a wheel or something like that. But, like, most of the main characters are all just very bulky, humanoid, muscular bodies. They don't look like robots. They should look more like, you know, Gundams and less like people in suits.
No, because that's personality. Again, like Hound is all like, you know, he's got a pot belly, which apparently he keeps weapons in.
I know, right?
But,
That doesn't even make sense.
But like,
I don't know, man. I don't get how people. I don't understand how this is entertainment for some folks. You know what I mean? Like, it just. I guess people are, like I said, they have the skill of turning their brain off and accepting it, or they just don't really think about stuff. But, you know, I guess as people who create shit, it's harder for us to turn our brains off.
I mean, and like I said, you don't need Shakespeare to like pull you through a Transformers movie. You just need a thread.
Exactly.
Like literally a plot thread. That's why it's called a fucking thread.
Exactly.
Because it's the minimalist of things to get you from one point to the next point to the end point. Like, that's it. But no, and don't say the spear was that thing, because no, an object is not a thing. An object is a MacGuffin.
That object definitely was a MacGuffin. Yeah.
It's like, you need to do a better job of explaining why the fuck we're here and why I should give a shit.
Yeah. Because that's the job. That's the writer's job. Pretending like the writer has no responsibility, that's dumb. And too many reviewers, too many people just talking about the films in general, they allow for poor shit to be made. And they allow for the writer to have no responsibility. The writers talk down to their fucking audience. They act like we're not going to see this shit. Like, no one has intelligence that would be watching this shit.
It's like cool. It's like they would do better, but they know that's not what we're here for. Or like you said, we can't handle it. Like they would just
they don't have to do better.
Like
this
is the fifth movie
that
they've made all this money off of. They don't care no more.
Yeah,
they know they can just put out slop, and they'll turn a profit.
Yep, they know.
I'm so like we were, I think we were talking about it when you had stepped out, Strident. It's like, if you don't care anymore, if you don't want to do this, like, why just tell them no? Because I'm sure Universal's got a ton of other projects.
A dark universe.
Jesus Christ, man! Fucking
dark universe.
This is cart before the horse. Like we're just going to make a whole bunch of movies based on this one. What if everyone hates this one?
They sure did. Everybody ripped that movie a new one. God.
Is it just going to go ahead and make 5 more movies, even though people hate the first one? Because that sounds dumb.
It really sounds dumb. Yeah, people hated
it. And China didn't even save that one, I don't think. So
no, I think they did.
Wait, which movie is this?
The Mummy, because Tom Cruise he's still a big movie star over there. They all want to be... China wants to be Tom Cruise. Come on now. China and Japan, I'm pretty sure.
I'm about to say, they're not so mad at him over, like, running around like a samurai? Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry. He killed a bunch of Japanese people,
most of them don't care. For some reason, it's like they just don't care about that shit. That movie did really well overseas, which is strange to me, because, like, we're over here, like, that was, like, diarrhea on cultural appropriation diarrhea. Yeah. And, like,
there were Japanese people that spoke up. I think Ryu Kitamura said something
he said
negative about the film.
He didn't need Tom Cruise to show Japanese people how to be Japanese. But it was so few. It was so few that it was like, it's kind of disturbing, because you're like, wow, he literally just, like, he made himself the best freaking samurai in Japanese history. And yeah, they didn't even, like, no one said anything. Everyone was like, yes, we love Tom Cruise. He can be whatever he wants to be. I mean, I know that it's fake, so maybe that's it. They just were like, we know our history, and there was no Tom Cruise to do all this shit in real life, but...
Yeah, like, he could have, like, offered some sort of, like, military intelligence, been an advisor, maybe at some point started to kind of fight with them, because naturally he wouldn't be able to, like, use bullets, because they don't have any.
Yeah.
But no, not to literally become like, oh, good, the armor still fits you.
Yeah, get out of here. That shit
I'm like,
flat.
Like, no, damn it, just put on like an extra jacket, and that's all you got. It's like, yeah, that was again sort of like what's the name, and same thing with Mark Wahlberg. It's like, yes, Mark Wahlberg is the last night. They said that in the movie. The last night was not Optimus Prime. It was not Bumblebee. It was not
all the other Transformer knights that were there.
Yeah.
Nope. The last night was Mark fucking Wahlberg.
Well, and how did they get this Knights of Iacon thing when they became knights on Earth? It's like the name sounds cooler than the concept actually was. Like the Knights of Iacon would imply that on their home planet they were knights. Why would they be European-style knights on Iacon?
Because they scanned really quick and they saw that everybody had swords. So it's like, all right, I guess we should just get swords too, boys.
It's so stupid. It's just there's so much that's just dumb about that movie. That like, I mean, people call the Fast and Furious movies dumb. No, this is dumb. Like, this is completely dumb.
And there's going to be, like you said, more. There's going to be more tour movies. There's going to be crossovers with other toy franchises, and just I don't know.
Yeah, I'm done. I'm done with that shit.
Me too.
It's like, yeah.
Me too. I am so done. I was done before this. This is why it took so long for us to do this, because I was dragging the fuck out of my feet with this one. I was like, man, this is going to be painful. It's going to hurt. I don't want to do it. And the more and more I got closer to doing it, I was like, oh, fuck, I don't want to do it. I mean, luckily, there were things going on that kind of slowed me down for real, so I didn't have to, like, make up stuff, but holy shit, man. I was not looking forward to this. And it turned out to be just as bad as I was expecting.
Like, look, if I gotta, like, you know, if I'm the one that proposed this insane thing, like, I might do it on my own. I'll finish it on my own if I got it. But it will be a legit drink and watch, like, where I'm just gonna sit and just freaking record my thoughts as I'm watching this movie while getting hammered.
You need to do it, man. Do it with the rest of them.
Because I can't. I'll count back down. I'll go, since we did 5, I'll just go 4, 3, 2, 1, and do that, and that'll be the end of it.
Do it.
Because this man, holy God.
Yeah, you should do that, because then that'll be your first bunch of stuff on your on your channel.
Yeah, that change in tone right there was me trying to think of, like, again, anything positive from watching this movie. I'm like, again, outside of a couple of cool action scenes, I'm like, nope.
Yeah, it's not good. I really, like I said, that's the best things in the movie were the chick being fine from head to toe, and I mean, like I said, that last chase or action sequence had so many parts that would have been good in the context of a different film. In this film, it just felt like too much. It was like overload. Like every idea, it was like David Goyer territory, where every idea was thrown into the film. But the stuff, the action going on at the end looked good. I could follow it. I mean, it was a lot, but I could follow it. It looked good. It was epic. Fine. But that's it. That's really it. I wasn't impressed with anything else, because everything else didn't have any weight to it. The whole King Arthur thing. It's like, what was the real point of that? Like, just to say that Transformers been here since then, and that the myths about dragons and magic and all that shit came from essentially Cybertronian tech. Like, come on.
And a drunk wizard, or I don't know if he was a wizard or whatever he was.
No, he was a fraud.
Oh, sorry, a drunk guy who got the ear of the king. Like, come on, man, you guys got to give me something, and I'll protect you. I promise. Just help me out this once. Just help me out this once. Come on. Just help me out this once. Come on.
All right.
Yo, dig.
Come on, man.
I know you got some blow. You got some rock. Yeah, I don't know, man. We're done. We've hit the 2 hour. We're past the 2 hour mark. We're done. This movie was just. Oh. Good night, everybody.
Yeah. So that is a strong do not recommend.
I know, right? That's
I
it
hope
for me.
I hope to forget this movie in about a day.
You probably will. You probably will, because there was nothing good here to remember other than the fine chick. And that they did that on purpose. And I don't get the whole she looks like, what's her name? She doesn't look like Megan Fox. People kept saying that.
Hell no.
Like, she's dark. She got dark hair. I get that. You know, she's a brunette. She's hot. Okay, fine. They have that in common. They're white. Okay. But, like, she looked different enough that you could tell it was a different character. So
yeah, I was gonna say, like, if you have, like, again, like, describe her in 5 words, sure, those 5 words would probably be the same. But looking at her, like, no, she really doesn't.
She looked like too good to, like, exist in reality.
Yeah, well, she just didn't look. She wasn't believable 100% in the role, because typically the people who spend all their time searching for knowledge, they don't spend very much time primping and preparing to look good in front of all the other people that'll be around. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, that's just kind of the thing. You know, like a lot of artists that are amazing at art, they kind of slack in other areas. You know what I mean? It's just the way it is. It's rare that you get the total package or the full package. And then in this case, they said she looked good and she was smart, but then she couldn't find a dude. Like, how realistic is that? Like,
yeah, she didn't want a guy. There's no way you can't find a dude looking like her.
Yeah.
That's more like you could go out and like wave your hand and dudes would just come falling. It'd be raining men for her. Like, that's bullshit.
Yeah, like.
But how many dudes is she seeing in the library or whatever? I guess like maybe that was the story.
She's
and even Europe, the weird shit, like the weird plot with the kids, and they're like, you know, wannabe flirting. I'm like.
Yeah, that was weird.
Oh, yeah, with the one nerdy kid.
Yeah, I'm like, is he hitting on her? Is this still going on? Why? Shut up and get to the robots.
Yeah. But, you know, like I said, not too much was great. I'm done. The movie sucked.
All right, so we'll see you guys for the next one, though.
Yeah, we'll see you on the next Off Our Brains, though, because... yeah, I don't have anything else to add. I don't think we have anything else to add. The movie was garbage.
We got it all out. For sure. There's no area that we missed.
Hot garbage. Too many plot holes, too many plot contrivances, too much insulting the audience, and maybe not, but insulting the audience that grew up with this shit and actually remembers what this stuff is. Insulting the current comic book fan base, the past comic book fan base, the people who know that Simon Furman wrote all the good shit that you need to read to understand what Transformers is. They didn't appeal to any of that. And if you're a fan of those things and somehow you were able to tell us that, you know, these fucking Halo looking, they look like, all the freaking knights look like big ass Halo characters and shit. Like, If you're going to tell me that shit worked, then I don't know what to tell you. You know what I mean? If you're going to tell me this film worked and it wasn't as bad as it was, and you were enjoying this schlock that they threw at you, because it's not even so bad it's good. It's just bad. I don't know what to tell you. So, that's it for me. You guys have been great. Peace outside.
Peace.